Oh, I'm live. I'm live. Hi, you're with Super Chuffer. I'm Scott. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. We're in mono. You should be able to hear me talkie. So have you in chat saying hello, hello. You can hear me talkie. Hello, Dover and Dolly's mom. Hello, Karen. Regard Asian Police, Jojo, Jessica S. Hello, Slinky Socks. Hello, Beth D. You can hear me talking. You can hear me talking. I am live on the internet, yeah? Can you guide Asian Police, Jojo? Until someone says hello. Hello, Slinky Socks. Hello. Until someone says hello. Okay. Okay, look, I'm just messing about. Listen, tonight's show is, we've got Peter Faulding. Well, I don't have him here. I'm not having him on the show. Peter Faulding is the subject of tonight's show. He's going to be doing a bit of an interview tomorrow, and there's a few things that need to sort of be said, I guess. So I was writing a little video. I was going to make like lots of clips, put it in together in a video. It's not happening. I'm doing it live now, and I'm combining it with another facet of this Peter Faulding story that I was going to do, the Mumsnet Chronicles. So it's a bit of a deep dive. You can get yourself a cup of coffee. You can get yourself a snacky, a drinky, something like that. I've got squash and I've got coffee. Get yourself ready to chill out and hear me read a bit of a script that's going to have some clips to go with it that won't have as many clips as the video would, but I could turn it into video later, and also some media bits that you might not have seen of Peter Faulding. Plus, I'm going to read out some very interesting opinions and show you a couple of things that go really dark down a rabbit hole that I don't know. If you want to know why I've got a spot on the side of my head that looks red, it's because I had a very small little, and I scratched it and picked it, and now it's a big. So that's me. Classic. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had, and they say don't pick it, don't scratch it, you do that with it. So also I'd like to say a big shout out to Legia Warszawa. Big shouts out. They had a football match with Aston Villa this week, apparently, or last week. Apparently they had a football match. I don't know about the football, but big shouts out to Legia Warszawa and everyone from Poland and all friends around the world. We do all one nation, really, all one nation under God or else. So tonight, without further ado, I'm not going to wait for the room to fill up and any of that messing about. I'm just going to get on with it. What do you reckon? Should I just get on with it? I'll just get on with it. If anyone comes in a bit late, they can always skip back and watch the later bit earlier bit later. Sound good? I will remind you, I've got tippies at coffee.com. We accept super chats. We've got memberships on this channel now. Not offering anything for members, just we've got it. And I'm very grateful for all of that. Like, this is my job. Very grateful for it. Big ups, Jessica. Hey, you all right? Do you want your words above my head before shall I crack on? Do you want my words above your head? Do you want a bit of that? Do you have a bit of that? Do you want chat on the screen? Do you want that? Do you want a bit of that? Doody. We might be able to get it. If not, it doesn't look like I can get it. Look. Sorry, no chat. I should have popped it out earlier. Hang on, wait, maybe I haven't popped it out. Maybe that's the problem. Do you want to be popped out? Do you want to get popped? You ready? Oh, you've been popped. You got popped. Whoops. Popped you right out. Let's see if I can now get you up on the screen as chat. Again, having problems, so no, you're not going on the screen. You're just going to be next to it in the common normal, the normal way that it would be on YouTube. How does that sound? Deal? Okay. This is going to be contentious slightly tonight. I think it's going to be slightly contentious. So do hit thumbs up for the algorithm. Thank you very much, Sally. Do that. But also, I would encourage you tonight to have your own opinions. Listen, I'm a tired bundle that's been working on stuff, looking at stuff, deep in this Nicola Buddy thing, right up to my eyes in the, well, shouldn't use language like that, should I, when I'm talking about a drowning victim? But you know what I mean? I've been deep into this, and last few days and weeks, quite deep into it, having a good look myself. So I'm quite a tired little bundle, and people might disagree or agree or whatever. So like, this one's about make up your own mind. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to tell you what I've seen, and it's up to you what you think. How about that? So everyone's allowed in chat to have different opinions. If anyone gets personally offensive against anyone, mods will ban them. But in general, it's just, it's open forum. Should we get stuck in? I'll start us off. You know this chuffer, don't you? You know this chuffer. You know this chuffer, you know him, don't you? You do know him, don't you? I mean, you do know him. He's a really good, nice chuffer. Like, you do know him. Good chuffer, nice chuffer. You do know him. Right. Nicola Bulley, Peter Faulding. Peter Faulding. Peter Faulding signed a book deal in 2022. Pan Macnet's forensic expert Peter Faulding's gripping and remarkable memoir. Pan Macmillan has netted what lies beneath My Life as a Forensic Search and Rescue Expert by Peter Faulding. My Life as a Forensic Search and Rescue Expert. My Life as a Forensic Search and Rescue Expert by Peter Faulding. Publishing director Sarah Swins... I should be able to pronounce that. Kavinsky brought the world rights direct from the author. Pan Macmillan will publish it in hardback, ebook and audio in February 2023. So world rights bought direct from Peter himself. February 2023, we're launching the book. Excuse me, 2023, February, we're launching the book. We're launching the book. And so it was quite fortuitous for Peter Faulding that he was able to jump on Sky News to talk river rescue in relation to the Nicola Bulley case. Here he is on 4th of February casting wild speculation through a terrible headset that makes him look like he's playing Microsoft Flight Simulator online rather than being brought in as a renter voice on Murdoch News Inc.
I know that you've been following events here very closely, and there was that news conference yesterday where we learned that the investigation now is very much focusing on the river. They have been searching now for 8 days. We're now into the 9th day. If, and it is a big if, Nicola is in the river, why has it taken so long to find her?
That's what I'm surprised about, Jonathan. I mean, normally when we scan a river, we can scan about 10 miles a day with our high-frequency sonar. It is the best in the world we have available. I mean, £53,000 worth of equipment, but it finds people quickly and then recovered by divers. This is not a really fast-moving tidal river. It's quite slow. It's moving slowly. It's quite narrow, so quite straightforward to search. I mean, the police divers are doing a great job, but they can only search a small section at a time. But I believe from the news reports that sonar has been brought in, but sonars is only good as the operator using it and the frequency. I worked on a case on Damien Tudge in Wales where he was missing for 18 months. It was searched 12 times with the sonar and they missed him. I found him in 10 minutes when I was called in to find him in his car. So it depends on the operator, it depends on the equipment. So we mustn't get sidetracked with the, you know, it's been searched with sonar. It just depends on the kit, what's being used. The kit, what's being used. Very eloquent, Peter. Depends on the kit what's being used. So there he is before he was brought in to do any searching, talking on the news, casting speculation, you could say, about what's been going on. Later on, if there's a body in a river, and hopefully Nicola's not, but it will show a head, arm, legs, it shows everything, and then we can then pinpoint it. It's the best piece of equipment for search in water, cover the bodies of drowning victims, suicide victims, and search for murder victims as well, both on land and in water. So we are top of our game. So it sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds all good. So that might have been, I don't know, what encouraged Paul and Emma. So apparently after seeing this though, apparently Paul and maybe Emma White drafted in Peter Faulding to help with the river search. Now that has got a clip to go with it, but I haven't got it here. You know, Emma White interview. We heard that Paul, I've got it on my show, like, you know, check out my channel. Emma White said that we saw he was on the internet. She alluded to looking on the internet, and she said that he could find something as small, you know, very small as a stone, looking for this jigsaw piece. So Emma White said that she was talking to Paul and it was them that brought in Peter Faulding, who was clearly well aware of this case beforehand. He was on the news doing interviews about it, so of course he would be aware of it. It's right in his ballpark, and he's selling a book all about this sort of stuff. So after seeing this, apparently Paul and maybe Emma White drafted in Peter Faulding to help with the river search. Also, Peter was to act as their insider source of information regarding certain aspects of the search. Again, I've got a clip for that. You know, Peter saying that he's been talking to the family and telling them certain things. Like, for example,
This was on 13th of February when Peter Faulding, Specialist Group International, who had quit the search on Wednesday, concluded Nicola was not where police believe she is. He's now launched his own low-key search and reportedly spoken to Nicola's family about deposition sites. Deposition sites, a term referring to a place where someone's been buried. Faulding told The Express, "I'm talking to the family and obviously have vast experience finding buried bodies. We've got to consider all options here. There's been a report of suspicious people hanging around. I was frank with Paul and Heather," I think he means Emma, "the other day because we need to consider possible deposition sites. We don't know. I'm not saying the police aren't doing that, and I don't want to do is interfere. What I don't want to do is interfere with the police operation." Definitely don't want to do that. Not going to cast wild speculation, but has been telling the family that he's been digging up possible burial sites. So, you know, Peter Faulding on the scene. Also, I'm going to get a clip, you know, for the later video if I cut it, to say that he was giving Paul information about the river search. Paul had to get Peter in as Lancashire police were about to turn their attention to the river path and had already conducted serious and extensive river searches, including the use of sonar technology, just like Peter Faulding. So I have got something for you here. Look, this is the BBC News from the 7th of February. 7th of February. Nicola Bulley, police focus on river path in search for missing mum. And in this article, 10 days now since Nicola's gone missing, they say that they've been extensively searching the river and our inquiries now focus on the river path, which leads from the fields back to Garstang Road. For that, we need drivers and cyclists who travel that way on the morning of 27th of January to make contact. So police believe she may have fallen into the river, but remain open-minded and are continuing to carry out a huge number of inquiries. So at this point, just before Paul just as on the 7th of February, Peter arrives and conducts his first day of big searching on the river, the police are actually deciding to search maybe further away from the river and start to turn away from the river a little bit. And they have extensively searched it, but they're going to use their resources in a slightly different... Well, now we're going to go back to the river because Peter's on the scene, of course, and we've got to definitely go back to the river because Peter's on the scene. With Peter came an increased media presence, whether alerted by the PR department publishing Peter's book, Peter himself, because he was apparently chummy with the Sun photographer, or simply there coincidentally, huddled at the same time Peter arrived. The press had a field day. Literally, they were in a field all day. Cut really quickly to this next clip, which I'm going to get for you now. So give me a second, because if it was a video, it'd be really nicely edited. But it's not, it's just me talking. You have to deal with me talking. And you will have to deal with it as well. Some people are going to be like, "Oh, I'm eggy about this. I'm getting eggy already. I could feel the egg running down my leg already." Well, deal with it, because I'm going to be talking all evening on this. Well, for a bit anyway. Let me have my Firefox window, please, internet computer. Thank you, internet computer. And let me change that for this other Firefox window, please, internet computer, of this. Okay, thanks. This is very little for you, so I'll make it bigger. How do you like them apples? You'll like them better if they're bigger. So here they are, really big. This is the day. Day one. Peter Faulding, day one. I'm arriving. Here I am with all my kit, my several things, vans and a caravan. I would encourage you to listen very carefully to what the press photographers and gathered press are saying, because whilst they've got 2 or 3 conversations going on and they're kind of, there are some interesting things, snippets. So it's up to you to make up your own mind and to listen carefully here to what they're saying and make up your own mind. The retro top, yes, Legia Warszawa. It's a big shouts out because Aston Villa had a European Cup game and there was a little bit of trouble outside the match. So I'm wearing my Legia Warszawa in solidarity. Yeah, here we go, because I'm a blue nose, of course. So listen out, listen up, listen out, and let's see what it's like on Peter Faulding's day one. Interestingly, the media interest was there, but it stepped up here. We've got a media group of people. They're there waiting for him to come out the hut. So they might have just been hanging out in the field anyway, but they're there waiting for him to come out the hut. The media interest seems to have stepped up a little bit in terms of media circus. Now Peter Faulding is there to hold court. And I would also make it very clear that the quality of the drone footage, etc., surrounding the river search steps up as well. It's like the days before Peter was there, we had a bit of drone footage here and there, mainly the search drone footage. And then the days after Peter arrives, somebody with an expensive drone taking really lovely shots of him going down the river is there. So he wants to be on that river. He definitely wants to be on that river because he's brought all his kit and he's got all his friends there ready to take photographs, and he's going to talk to all the media, and he definitely wants to be on that river. So the police may have decided to, widen the search of the river path and look slightly away from the river now, because they've been searching in it for a week. But Peter's like, no. Paul is like, no. Let's get you back in this river, and let's listen now. Like I said, listen in, see if you can hear anything interesting that's being spoken about, and then we'll hear Peter talking.
They're not going to do what they think they're going to do. What? Group call?
They did say you're going to get ready for a huddle, didn't they?
I'll start that again.
They're not going to do what they think they're going to do. What? Group call?
They did say you're going to get ready for a huddle, didn't they?
I won't remember because I don't have it.
Is he going to stop him shot?
Also the helicopter. What's this guy called?
Peter.
Faulding. So you'll be good for 80s pub quiz.
Morning.
Underwater search unit with us, so we've got another dive team to back up the police, and we got a really specialist bit of kit, high frequency side scan sonar. To search, and we just bring that backup resource to work closely with them at this instant.
We understand that Paul called you personally. What could you tell us about that conversation you had with him?
Well, Paul called me the other day to we spoke, and he was then speaking to the Lancashire police to bring us in. That afternoon, there was a bit of miscommunication, but they agreed to bring us in because we do the police diving anyway for the whole of the South East. So we're a well-known police operational team. And we bring that expertise, and we've got a very good working relationship with Lancashire Police at the moment.
How long is it difficult talking to Paul? I mean,
Paul is, Paul's extremely distraught. I've just spoken to him just now where we're staying, and my thoughts go out to the family and friends. It's a very difficult time. I'm used to dealing with, families of drowning victims. It's a horrible thing to be going through.
Interesting, because it's day one, you haven't got in the water yet, but mentioning drowning victims.
Not knowing where your love...
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. All I really said was that we could have extensive time to look through these media clips in great detail. Here I'm just going to pick out a few quick points and move through my script, and then get on to the juicy Mumsnet bit.
One is, and that's the... if anyone, puts them in his mind, it's a horrible thing. You don't know where your mind is.
So there we go, Peter Faulding on day one. First thing he did, out of his van, got his gloves on, in front of the media, holding court, huddle. Huddle was mentioned by the media before we started. We're seeing some microphones here like LBC, which hadn't been present in the media circus until Peter Faulding turned up. Peter Faulding, of course, very happy and very prolific with his media presentations on things like GB News, pretty right-wing, Sky News, Murdoch, LBC. Like there's a sort of like, he holds media court in the mornings after. I'll get back on with my little script, shall I? Let me move this back to my and so what was I saying? I did my joke about the press had a field day, literally in a field all day. Thankfully, Peter was able to take time out of his busy schedule to brief the media apparently every morning and evening when he was on the job. Later, Peter also found the time to appear on GB News, Sky News, and even a Channel 5 special called Vanished with Mark Williams-Thomas. Faulding was initially accused of having ulterior motives, like selling his book, but he was quick to stamp this out. So I've got a clip for you here. I've got a clip for you, baby.
It's tough online. A lot of people sort of supporting you. They're hanging on your every word. But then you've also got detractors.
Detractors, 8th of February this is.
And people are accusing you of coming up here for not doing
Posted.
this mission out of the kindness of your heart, even though you're volunteering not only your time and your staff's time, They think that there is an ulterior motive. For the record, do you have an ulterior motive with being up here?
I have no ulterior motive. Look, I search for it. I have given my time to many cases free of charge.
Oh, he's getting a bit eggy. Fair enough if you think LBC had been there a bit before. I'm not confirming or denying that. You know, I just think there's a lot more media there talking to Peter Faulding than there was on the days before, in leading up. Like, he was on the scene, the media circus. I think there was a lot more in the microphones. I saw, like, you know, a few more serious ones. I might be wrong on that. I'll take that point and just completely climb down from that point. Maybe it's just my feeling on that. The other stuff, I think, you know, I don't want to let the other stuff drift away because I'm getting pedantically wrong about how many microphones were in a media huddle. So I'll just climb down from that if you want. But the rest of it, I think, is really completely valid. So we'll carry on.
We get paid to do police diving operations, okay? But I offered my services for a whole week with April. Lying.
It's tough online. A lot of people sort of supporting you. They're hanging on your every word. But then you've also got...
I was muted.
detractors, and people are accusing you of coming up here for not doing this mission out of the kindness of your heart, even though you're volunteering not only your time and your staff's time. They think that there is an ulterior motive. For the record, do you have an ulterior motive with being up here?
I have no ulterior motive. Look, I search for it. I have given my time to many cases free of charge. We get paid to do police diving operations, okay? But I offered my services for a whole week with April Jones. There was no media around all that. I never gave any interviews for that, and that's it. And then the other one was Ellis Downs. The poor lad was left laying in the river. No one could find him. I came in and found him, and I done that totally free of charge for that family. I donate life jackets to kids for schools. I do a lot for charity. I don't need publicity. The press have come to me for this. I am not openly. If I don't give information, then I'll get slated. So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. There's no ulterior motive for me.
What message do you have to the people then who are sitting at home, keyboard warriors, accusing you of all these things?
Well, I suggest maybe they come out and maybe look for dead people underwater in the dark, murky waters on a freezing cold night.
Yeah, I'd rather not, actually. I'd rather not, really. So, Faulding was initially accused of having ulterior motives, like selling his book. He was quick to stamp this out. Of course, Peter was working for free, but maybe accepting payment from Paul Ansell would have created some interesting conflicts of interests. Mind you, Peter, like Mark Williams Thomas, basically declared Peter innocent. Sorry, I've written that in my script. I'm tired. Mind you, Peter, like Mark Williams Thomas, basically declared Paul innocent during the Channel 5 Vanished show. Cut to a clip of that, which I don't have here. He was also accused of confusing the investigation by whoring himself out to every media outlet in town and creating wild speculation at every turn. Bodies don't move that far, diving expert. Nicola Bully Police criticised by Police Faulding for leading search astray. Nicola would have had to be pushed into the river, diver on the current stage of investigation. He's now launched his own low-key search, reportedly spoken to Nicola's family about deposition sites. Just confirming what I'm saying, not making it up. I'm not saying it, I'm saying he was accused of confusing the investigation and whoring himself out to the media. Police later essentially accused him of being unprofessional in his conduct with the media. Peter basically threw it back at them, effectively saying the police should have been briefing everyone of the intimate details of their ongoing investigations. Peter reported that hand on heart she was not in that river, hand on heart.
Being found in the area where you had searched so thoroughly, as I understand it, and you, after your search, had been so confident in telling the press that actually she was not in the river.
Good morning. I'd like to make it very clear that the
Lancashire Police have searched that area thoroughly with divers, their sonar and their bank search officers. And if this is the body of Nicola, then she was not found in the river. She was actually found in the reed bed to the side of the river. Our task was to clear the river, and at the time, I can categorically say, I have the data to prove it, that there was no body in the river at that time when we were searching. So ours was not the reeds, and our main focus was above the bench area, above the weir. We searched for 4 hours in that particular stretch, and where Nicola's body was found down to the bridge, and I can hand on heart say we did our best, but she was not on the riverbed. We would have seen her clearly.
Peter reported that hand on heart she was not in the river. Hand on heart. He later explained that he'd been lying to us for our own benefit because he was super professional and didn't want to go against the police narrative. Until later on, when the inquest came up, after reviewing his sonar, he was ready to out the truth. Only they didn't call him up to the inquest, so he kept it stum. Peter carefully sat on his info until the COP report. That report threw him under the bus, so now finally Professional Peter tells all in an interview with Amateur Hour YouTuber who admires Andrew Tate. Here he finally reveals that Nicola was there in the river all along. He has proof, but he can't show it because that would be unprofessional. Clips here, but I'm not going to show them. You know what they look like. Professionalism is key to Peter Faulding, who established a business doing millions in turnover from protester removal. And I do have, clips to follow on that. I've got a nice clip from a media piece, actually, about the protester removal. An interview with Peter himself, so I think I'll be able to back that up quite happily. Like a kind of private police assistance crew, Peter and his team work closely with the Home Office in all sorts of things protester removal related. And of course this is on his own website, so I will just quickly get this up. Specialist Group International Protester Removal. I've got that here. Boom. Quite happy to talk about it on the website. Quite happy to talk about it in interviews, removing Swampy from the Honington bypass by establishing rapport, getting down there and establishing rapport with him, and all these other things listed here, all these other protests where Peter has been working closely with the government and the Home Office to remove the protesters, and that's what built his business. It wasn't a search and rescue business initially. It was, in fact, protester removal business initially. Knowing that Peter Faulding and Co. Let's have a picture of him. Should go back to that one. Knowing that Peter and Faulding and Co. were responsible for removing protesters from Huntingdon Life Sciences is something that makes me particularly sad. Huntingdon are without doubt responsible for some of the most horrific animal abuse you can ever imagine. Peter defending them and easing their troubles through his apparently partisan protester removal in payment of the government is a true shame. Still, it might be a dirty job, but if, like Peter, you're prepared to put personal ethics aside and deal with the swampies of this world, you could become quite rich. While some might cry foul because Peter has Swift Incorporated listed here on Companies House, so I'll quickly show you this as well, although this gets a bit weird and I'm not a forensic psychologist, sorry, I'm not a forensic accountant, so, you know, just gets a bit weird to me. Peter Faulding, Companies House, you know, the old, the way it works, Companies House, and if I go on this and I go to, which one is it, Specialist Rescue Limited, I think it is, and I go to the filing history and then see when it was incorporated, the incorporation of Specialist Rescue. This is a Companies House, Swift Incorporations Limited. Swift Incorporations Limited. This is just one of many businesses that Peter has on Companies House. All are very similar, but all slightly different, I suppose, in some way. Again, not a forensic accountant, so I don't know the difference necessarily between Specialist Dive International, Specialist Security International, Specialist Rescue Limited, Specialist Maritime International, Specialist Medical International, Specialist Rescue International, and Specialist Group International Limited, and Specialist Recruit International Limited. I don't know why they're all these different companies. Maybe that's just the way you do these things. But that one with Swift, why Swift Incorporations is important, I'm not that sure. The offshore leaks database, which was set up after the Panama Papers. If you search it in the offshore leaks database from the Panama Papers, then it comes up quite a lot. Barbados, I think it's something to do with banking. I'm not sure. The Panama Papers, I mean, it's something to do with offshore stuff. Barbados. Those with the mind for that sort of thing might want to look into that a bit more deeply. But I'm not a forensic accountant. So some people have brought this up and I don't know what to say about it. So there you go. SWIFT can be found in the Panama Papers leaks, something to do with the Bahamas and offshore accounts. I'm not a forensic accountant. For me, I'm undecided. Let's go back to the picture. I mean, sure, Peter is hugely financially invested in pulling dead people out of rivers. He's got an ethically sketchy past in terms of protester removal. Some people think he's got some kind of dodgy financial links, and he hasn't really got the formal forensic training that police investigation. He hasn't got the formal forensic training that the police investigations teams have. He might be trying to sell his book, but then the man did give up his time for free to talk to the media day in, day out since like week 1 of the Nicola Bulley thing kicking off. So you could argue that his recent revelations about Nikki being in the river actually helped to shore up the inquest, finding that she fell in and drowned and was there the whole time. Peter appears to be a chaotic rogue element for the police to contend with, a private citizen with expensive kit, ties to the government, drafted in by someone who could have been considered a suspect, in this case, Paul Ansell. Peter has recently utilised an impressionable YouTuber to shape the narrative through social media. Shaping the narrative through social media was, of course, heavily focused on in the COP report that appears to have thrown Peter under the bus. So the day before Peter does this big Q&A, which will probably avoid some really tough questions, I present to you some interesting counterpoints to Peter's narrative, namely what I've just been saying. But also, this is Mumsnet, and the opinions of Mumsnet users are and are not my own. Okay, so feel free to comment, discuss. Chat is open. I've been ignoring you up to now because I've been reading my script. But, you know, feel free to chat and discuss. Make up your own mind. Make up your own mind. Thank you very much, Paul Taylor, for the £5 super chat. Paul, I've not yet watched that damn video that you wanted to send to me. I might encourage you to actually drop it. Are you in the Discord? I would also encourage you to send it to me on my Twitter or on this. How about that one as well? Send it to me again. I'll get onto it. Mumsnet. So you've got to decide yourself. Is Peter crafting a PR media profile and narrative? Is he a lovely man? Is he a saint? Can he be trusted? The people at Mumsnet have got their own ideas, and I'm going to read them all out to you. So, like, this is like opinions of Mumsnet do not represent the opinions of this stream. Where things get dodgy and maybe into the realms of what I would call slander or libel, I'm going to say no, that's not acceptable. You can't say that, Mumsnet. But otherwise, I think we're good, aren't we? I hope I haven't missed any super chats out or anything like that. If you want to tip me on the tippies.com Ganji, then I won't miss it. In fact, it will come up on the screen. It will start talking, so you can have a bit of that as well. I'm sure that I can find the link for that. Boom. Copy that into chat. Boom. There you go. You can have a bit of that as well. Right, let's read some Mumsnet. You're gonna love this. This gets wild. Mumsnet gets wild. I'll tell you what I would say as well. Okay, I'll just be myself now. Super Chuffer is a shill, don't listen to me. I think I might be the only one here not a shill out of these people. I'm certainly not getting paid by the government like fucking somebody. Big ups last but one. I'm not qualified to discuss this. Bless you. Who is? Who is qualified to give you that honest opinion? You're not qualified to make up your own mind, it seems. You're out here to rip into me. Come on. If you're going to get personal on me, you can do better than that. I think we can deal with like a bit worse than that. Let's celebrate the third super on live stream. Thank you very much. Happy days. Big up Scott and the moderators. Bless you. If that troll gets a little bit out of place, they can be served, but otherwise they're all right. Why do some cases go viral like this? People give interviews in the media and look really fucking guilty, like they murdered their wife. It's not their wife. It's just their partner. The police are the experts. Do you know what? There's something I agree with. Actually, I think there's been a lot of poo-pooing of the police recently, and there's certainly a whole lot of poo-pooing of the police, and not quite a lot so much poo-pooing of people like Paul Ansel, Emma White, and a certain Peter Faulding, who thinks is like been sainted, anointed a saint. I want him to come round and fucking marry my sister. He's such a good man. Yeah. I think people need to be a bit clever. Spliff Patrol, I am smoking some like rubbishy bits at the moment, down to some rubbishy bits. God. No, it's all right. Don't mind. It's all good in the hood. Let's get him to Mumsnet. Are we allowed to talk about Peter Faulding? And this drops on September 19th, 2nd, 2023. So I think 1902, 2023. 19th of February. This is after Nicola's been found, I think, or just about the same time she is found. Can we talk about Peter Faulding? I just can't understand what he was. I'm not going to read out the names of all the people. I don't know. I'll read out some names because they're funny, but I don't know who this one is. But I just can't understand what was he thinking. On the one hand, very kindly donating his time and expertise. On the other hand, he turned this case into a circus. His categorical declarations sent people wild with speculation. It's awful, and I just can't understand why he did it. So you see, it's going to get wild, and these are not my opinions, so you can get eggy all you want, but I'm just reading out Mumsnet. Pickle Me Walnut says, me too, I was shocked at the time. It seems really inappropriate and started wild hairs running all over. Someone else chimes in, Bella. I thought it was a bit odd at the time, but to be honest, I really don't know much about the situation then. I would hope his manager will speak to him about why he was so inappropriate. He's the manager. Joy says, I think it might have been the first time the police didn't share all the details with him. He couldn't grasp that he's not a member of the police force. I'm in Ireland, so miles away from this tragedy, but I was early on annoyed on behalf of the UK police. Who did he think he was? You don't just assume that the police are obliged to accept the help of all local experts. I know he's an expert of sorts. Big ups ABC. At me in chat there. Don't know what you mean. Big ups though. Big ups. Also, I would like to point out, what was I going to point out? I lost my mind then, but it'll come back to me. My Own Vault says he acted in a hideously egotistical and unprofessional way. The media have given him a platform he should never have had. This one's been deleted, so it goes against terms of service. So I'm not reading that one out. Some people get wild on Mumsnet. Oh, that was what I was going to say. This is Mumsnet, so I don't know if some of these people are actual real mums on Mumsnet. Or some of them, I tell you what, some of them might be the Lancashire police getting eggy and going on there to pollute the online narrative. Interesting, isn't it, that Peter Faulding's decided to turn to an online YouTuber, online narrative. That was the focus of the COP report, wasn't it? Now we've got an online narrative being crafted by one of the players in the... Interesting, isn't it? Big ups JJ Kane. Big ups Andy. Enjoy your cooking tea. If you got that clip, big ups Andy. Someone was asking me on YouTube the other day, on YouTube, on Twitter. I added you and Slinky in the conversation. Someone was asking about that clip of Luke saying he had called the armchair detective. I don't know if you've got that, but if you've got that little clip of him saying that out loud, that would be nice to have that out in public. Because he said he didn't ever speak to him later, which is weird. So this, anyway, back to this. Mumsnet. Okay, Mumsnet. We've got, he acted in an egotistical and unprofessional way. This could be the Lancashire police saying this, but it's Mumsnet. Take it with a pinch of salt, eh? User XX says, absolutely this. He's an egomaniac. I disliked him the minute I saw him on the TV. It's pretty insulting to all those who go missing, isn't it? The majority of people don't even get a mention. This is in response to somebody who got deleted, so I'm gonna have to navigate Mumsnet a bit difficult. Maybe, the bits that have got deleted, I'm gonna have to lay off a bit, but they go a bit off they get a bit diverted as well at one point. So my bruise, I had a spot, like a little minor, like a little tiny thing that's nothing, and I sat there and I picked it and made it worse, and now it's just worse. But that's all. It's just me picking at my fucking head like a junkies. You sat there watching the tellis like that, just not thinking about it, just picking at a little spot, and then I've just done that to it. So we're not going to keep talking about it. It's all right. I suspect the role of the media circus will largely go unanalysed. Lancashire police, on the other hand, will be put through the ringer, says Racifoff, the King of Clay. Absolutely no way he should be given airtime to say what he did in the first couple of interviews. And I think that probably goes for a lot of the ex-police officers criticising what the police had and hadn't done when they had no idea what the fuck the police were doing. Late Titikaka says, wow, I hope none of her loved ones are reading this in relation to the bad bit that has been deleted. So we're going to leave off that. The original poster, the op, says, I guess Peter was part of the reason for such a high level of attention. What was a fairly high-profile missing person case became a global mystery on an enormous scale because of his attestations. It's mind-boggling. I suspect any of the reputable news outlets will be thinking twice before ever letting him speak about anything again. I mean, they're pretty down on him. Mel in the middle says, to be honest, I didn't take much notice to what he said. I just put my trust in the police and hoped they knew what they were doing with the information they had. The police had been heavily criticised by the media, MPs and even ex-police when they were actually doing their job and putting all their resources in finding Nikki rather than pleasing the media and public. They only disclosed information because some lowlife was about to sell it to the media, and yet they still came under fire. Shame on everyone who joined this circus. I wonder who was threatening to sell information to the media. That, I think, is when they're talking about Nicola's her vulnerabilities. I think someone threatened to sell. They got the information. I think Mark Williams Thomas actually said something about disclosing this in a tweet, or I think I've seen it again. He can come at me, but I've seen it, literally him talking about it on either a tweet or a video dropped somewhere, or someone clipped it. So I could probably get hold of that. Him saying he's heard from friends and family that something went on at the health welfare check, and they need to come forward and talk about this stuff. And then the next sort of day they were like, well, there's been this, I think there's trade-offs and information and they need to come out and speak. And I don't know who threatened to sell it to the media, but that's what Mel in the Middle thinks anyway. And yet they still came under fire. Shame on everyone who joined this circus. Oh, let's see how Peter Faulding's book will do now. People are getting eggy on Mumsnet. This is on the 19th. Big ups, happy days. Welcome to Economy, which I don't know why it says that on this. Come on. No. On this channel, I haven't set it up properly. I just turned it on. Like, I did it on Battery Exhausted, a testing ground. It worked. You all liked it. So I turned it on here, but I forgot to set it up properly. So you're Economy. Welcome to Rubbishy Economy. I'll change it. I'll make it sound better. I'll change it from Economy to like cool, fucking brilliant level. But from now it's Economy. But thank you for joining memberships. Let me switch live chat to... No, I'm on live chat. I want live chat. All the chat. Let me see all the chat. Sally says, I found his behaviour to be very strange. Usually you don't hear a word from the people searching rivers, but he was constantly in the papers making very bold claims about his own capabilities, talking about abduction and stalkers, etc. In comparison, I think the police did well. It seems they conducted a very thorough investigation and searched extensively on land and water. I felt uncomfortable when details of Nicola's menopause and drinking came out, but to have heard this info was about to be revealed by the press, so they wanted to get him first, or perhaps they just felt backed into a corner by the constant criticism and speculation. Apart from those revelations, I think they did everything right. Tell me about it another time says, sorry, but what did the police do wrong? Pigs in Noodles says, this man is disgusting. I hope he loses all contracts with his company has with the police after interfering so badly with the police investigation. Bentley Rhythm Ace, blast from the past there, Bentley Rhythm Ace, on Mumsnet though, says, we shouldn't even know his name. He should have just got on with it and quietly helped if he wanted to. Instead, we're talking about him because he's thrust himself into the spotlight. Somebody here's got their message deleted, so getting a bit eggy, getting a bit heated there. I totally agree, says Sweet Sakura. His boasts and claims made things far worse and stirred up distrust in the police too. Although individuals who swallowed his claims wholesale could do with some self-reflection too. Is this making you eggy, anyone? Is anyone getting eggy here? Because the people on Mumsnet are pretty eggy. Fictional character says, headlines like this are a disgrace. And it's Examiner Live News, Nicola Bully search expert, Peter Faulding. He put one sentence on social media and it's been reported as a headline about his statement. This is on several other news outlets too. They've allowed him to make this all about him. I can see that people like him want to be centre stage when they really should not be. But I don't understand why the media are indulging him. now we get into this bit where people start replying to each other, so you'll have to brain juggle. You'll have to brain juggle. Late Titicaca, why? They'll be aware this case has seen unprecedented media attention. They've been on the receiving end of horrific gossip and speculation that's brought out the cranks and sick fucks. Many on MN? Mumsnet. Hopefully the family can now get some closure and move away from the circus, which has been their lives in recent weeks. They get eggy at each other as well, look. Pigs in hoodies. This one, Pigs, says, if he was a police employee, he'd undoubtedly be dismissed for what he's done. I don't see why he should avoid consequences just because he's a contractor. If he worked for my local force, I'd have been firing off emails to the police and crime commissioner and the chief constable for the last fortnight. Another spare says, he hugely overstepped his part. He's an industry specialist who could have offered his help to the police and carried out the job without any attention whatsoever, but he lapped up the publicity and turned a missing person case into a media circus. Greensleeves Not Knows says, should I know who he is? Pretty fucking... like... wow. Mumsnet's like getting well eggy, don't they? They get well eggy. Big ups, MJ Carroll. Hey, how you doing? I hope he now issues a heartfelt apology to the police after his very public criticism. I, like many others who grew up on the Fly Coast, probably had the same feeling she sadly went into the river. Yet, still, the social media experts keep churning out their stupid theories, like why she wasn't found before, etc., while knowing full well that it can take a long time, sometimes never, for remains to surface from a body of water. The media sites are no better posting updates literally every 5 minutes and encouraging people to make all sorts of rubbish up. I'm reading it like it is. This is going to take us a little while. I'm going to have to get through it, so I'm going to have to keep going. And also, I'll tell you something. It reminds me of, do you remember That's Life? Esther Ranson did a show called That's Life. And they used to have the letters and they used to read things out. And they had the people in the show read them out in different voices. It's like that, except it's just me and Mumsnet. And it's nothing to do with That's Life at all. That's life. Can I say big thanks to all the mods? Well, we've got the big numbers running in the middle of the show before anyone started to drift out and things are going at the height of their height. If the mods want to drop their channels in chat or like shout out themselves, get on and subscribe to Slinky Socks. She's got a channel. It's good. If Andy wants to drop a channel of her choice that she wants to shout out, or if Jess has got any music she wants to big up Mean Green as well. Get on and listen to their music. JJ Kane's radio show. You are, bear in mind, I'm shouting you out on my channel here, so you are now going to have to fight off the temptation to turn insane. Bear in mind, don't come at me next week with I don't think fucking squirrels exist or something. Hold it down, Mimp Squad, hold it down. Shouts out to all the Mimp Squad, shouts out to everyone watching, shouts out to you at home. You be good. Listen, this is the original poster again. They're the eggy one in the first place. I just can't understand what was he thinking. On the one hand, very kindly donating his time and expertise. On the other hand, he just turned this case into a circus. His categorical declaration sent people wild with speculation. It's awful. I just can't understand why he did it. We've got Yes You. Says, I thought it was a bit odd at the time, but to be honest, didn't really know much about the situation then. I hope his manager will speak to him about why he was so inappropriate. His manager? Which is what I said. His manager. I think some of the Mumsnet, they just want the manager. I don't want to say Karens, it's a bit cheesy, isn't it? But I think some of them want the manager. Should I know who he is? No, you shouldn't, and nor should any of us. That's the point. Long Whiskers says, I did wonder at the time why he couldn't just get on with the search quietly and with dignity. He seemed to constantly be opening his mouth to voice his opinion. And there's a reply to that to say, and to tell us about his vast experience. He's much better than anyone's equipment, his vast experience, his police contracts, and his vast experience. Pigs says, not to mention fueling all the speculation about decoys, third parties, and burials. This man's a disgrace. I mean, that's completely, I would actually chime in with what I actually think here, which is actually, that's fairly true. He did come out and say about decoys. He said he'd worked on other cases where there had been decoys left, and it turned out this person was buried somewhere else. So he'd investigated other options. I showed you on this article here where he's quoted as saying that he's gone low key and he's going to be looking at deposition sites. You know, that does ring a little bit true. That does. Decoys, third parties. He did bring up third parties and the burials. Vladimir Putin, which I think might be something to do. Anyway, look, it says, but Nikki's husband also expressed he felt she wasn't in the river. I do think he behaved inappropriate with his declarations, but as of yet, we don't know exactly what happened, so he might very well be vindicated. But again, he's massively egotistical. Pigs, who's quite busy on this thread, you know, there's a couple of them that are quite busy on this thread. Pig says, it makes no difference if he's vindicated. There was no need for him to help whip up a media frenzy. No need for him to comment at all. Stalked by a Spider is talking about this message that got deleted, and they're saying, whilst I do agree with the middle class white female angle has some merit, I think it also has to do with some recent focus on women's safety, and it gets into a sort of race discussion about women and stuff, so I'm going to leave that one. Jelly Lover says, such a knob. Such a knob. Jelly Lover says, such a knob. He said she wasn't in the river, nor that she wasn't in the reeds. He should be forced to apologise. Hope his book is shredded. Shredded. I agree. So going on, you can just click like and shit. Like going on and saying, I agree. Stalked by a Spider. This one agrees with Stalked by a Spider anyway, which is about the race stuff and stuff. So, and men and race, and it gets political, that one. We don't. That's not what we're looking at. We're on about the Peter Faulding bits. What manager? Yeah. Big ups PCTV. What manager? Yeah. I demand to see the manager. This manager's going to have a word with him. Robin Good says, the attention seemed to go to his head. I hope people are more cautious about taking up his expertise in future. Recollect, bear in mind, this is before Nick Peters come out with his revelation. This is while they've just found Nicholas, so he hasn't come out with the revelation yet. They might change their minds later when he changes his. You never know. We've got 9 pages of this shit to get through, and it is giving a complete counterpoint to Peter St. Peter. I've given you all the sort of more serious bits from where I've been digging, the little bits that have come out here and there. You know, I've told you at the start, I've gone through a bit of a script there about another way of framing Peter's involvement and questioning some of his history in terms of protester removal, making his money by basically being like a sort of hired arm of the police force that does a difficult job that the police, whether it be health and safety or politically, don't completely want to get involved with. Peter and his crew take over, and protester removal was the thing that propelled him into the millions of pounds of turnover, and his business now does millions of pounds of turnover. And whilst they do in his testimony find maybe like 10 to 12 people in water every year, the protester removal bit was quite a big bit, and and all that. So I've done my bit there and like brought up some stuff, so you can have a think on your own. But these people didn't know about any of that. I don't think. They're just eggy about him. MJ Carroll says his expertise is not as vast as he makes out. If you scratch the surface, he made money as a private police force. Yeah, it's. Do you know what? I'm going to just briefly say quickly. When Margaret Thatcher and the miners. Not small children, but grown men who used to go down the mines with pickaxes and things. The miners and the strikes. What Margaret Thatcher did was she busted a load of police in from the south, and like they went up and just busted heads. Like that started off a sort of contentious conversation about whether non-local police or private police, or Thatcher's bully boys, and there's a lot of Thatcherism in the sort of right-wing Andrew Tate angle that a certain YouTuber who Peter is using to voices message through. Peter contacted Luke in the first place. Luke found out that Peter was trying to talk to him and then rang him and, stuff like that. And Luke's got that politics underlying it, like the Andrew Tate stuff, wanting to be a millionaire, not happy with the same average life as average people have, wanting more for himself. And Peter's already done that and achieved all that through this sort of quite Thatcherism, in a way, quite kind of Thatcherist-esque style. I don't, I'm not saying he's like that. I'm just saying, like, I know about that 80s stuff and the protesters and the angles and and then you're saying about private police in chat, and I see what you mean. Like, obviously he's not the police. He's like, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because imagine this, right? I tell this is Sufi Scott, and I've told this Sufi wisdom before, but I'll tell it to everyone here now. Once upon a time in India, there was a problem. I'm just going to quickly bring up Peter's face because it's a bit more interesting while I tell this story. And if you like this story, consider giving me a tip, you fuckers. I like the monies, it's how I survive. May I also tell you a little story? So once upon a time in India, they had a problem with snakes, cobras in fact, snakes, bad snakes. And what these snakes were doing, they were overrunning, they were like a pest, you could say. Like, like rats or mice or like, wasps, bad wasps. Why don't be so harsh on the mice, but bad wasps, snakes anyway. And so the Indian government, they said, oh no, what we're going to do with the problems, we're going to have to send out these people to kill all the snakes. And I said, hang on, why don't we just pay, instead of paying for people to go and kill snakes, why don't we just pay people to kill snakes? So like, if you kill 10 snakes, bring them to us, we'll pay you 10 rupees or whatever the amount was. We'll pay you 10 rupees for the snakes. Yeah, what I do to the side of my head, I picked a spot. I had a small spot, nothing major, and I sat there picking it while I was watching the telly until it went big, and now I've got a big blemish, thanks. It's not, everyone's going to ask. So anyway, snakes start coming in, they pay out the rupees, and then the snakes start dwindling off, they're paying out fewer rupees, and they say to themselves, this is working. People have gone out, they've killed all the snakes, we're paying out fewer rupees, this is going well. And then all of a sudden they start seeing more snakes come in, the rupee amounts go up. Before you know it, they're paying out more rupees than they ever had before on snakes coming in. They've got piles and piles of these dead snakes. I thought we were curing the snake problem, but how can there be this many snakes? And they look into it and they discover that, lo and behold, people are farming snakes because it's 10 rupees for every 10 snakes. So you can incentivize people in the wrong way economically, and that's why we don't want to have a private police force. Or, for example, Peter Faulding, I'm not saying he's murdered anyone, let's make this very clear, but Peter Faulding is paid by our government to find dead people in the river. You could argue it's in his interests for there to be dead people in the river. And now it's quite lucky for him that there just happen to be dead people in the river, but if there was a slow week... the ambulance, when it's a slow week, doesn't think, damn it, I'm on commission here, let's go out and run someone over so we can take them to the hospital. Like, if you were giving an ambulance driver commission on every person you brought into the hospital, he'd go and run over a load of people at the bus stop and just take them all down. 10, 20, 30, in. There's another load of snakes, more money for me. But no, we keep it separate, keep it public, private, keep it separate. So, the private police and removal of protesters from, like, Huntington Knife Sciences, worst thing in the world. If it was my job and I turned up there and they said, this is the job, and you just be partisan and you just remove them, I'd say, well, you can just be partisan and you get fucked. I'm going to go and sit on the protest today for the Huntington. I don't like Huntington Knife Sciences. They're the worst thing in the world. Don't get me started. All right, let's go back to Mumsnet. I gave you a little break. Mumsnet, recollections may vary, is the name of this person. When you consider the fact that a woman seemingly vanished in daylight whilst out walking her dog after dropping her 2 children at school, and you have all the ingredients to grab the headlines, if everyone had been told from the start that Nicola Bulley was vulnerable and high risk, I seriously doubt it would have been so high profile. I agree, disappeared in 10 minutes and left phone call and a dog. Police and family said no medical lifestyle reason, then unclear communication from the police added to a family and friend narrative that didn't fit with the police response. It isn't surprising this became news. I think he was wrong to talk, but people also wanted to believe his narrative, says Hordod. Rodney Zaplonka says, I suspect he's going to say if he'd known about the vulnerabilities, his search would have been different, which would stand, but if this Nicola, then it's less than a mile, which means they should have found her. Coco B says, do we know exactly where he searched? Was there a map posted online anywhere? GC Academic. This is a different comment about the other thing. It says, as a brown woman, I have to say accusing a white woman who's dead and clearly struggling while alive of having privilege is pretty disgusting. That's a different conversation. Three-ring circus, but Nikki's husband also expressed she wasn't in the river. I can understand her family not being able to face the thought of her being in the river because that would have meant accepting she was never coming home. This is a supposed expert that then thrust himself into the spotlight through his own arrogance and would not stop talking to the media and criticising the police. He's partly responsible for this circus, and I hope other police forces think twice about using his company in the future, given his big mouth is such a liability. I agree with PP that for local people to the Flyde coast and who know that river well, we were all certain she was in there, and it wouldn't be very hard to find if that was indeed the case. I just hope her poor family can get some answers and grieve in peace. Pretty heavy. Response, totally agree. Entirely different for a family to cling to hope than for an expert to boast about the efficacy of his search and the conclusiveness of not having found her there, and thereby stir up huge levels of speculation. Three-ring circus. As a local, I completely disagree. We thought she was in the river initially, but not by 2 weeks later, despite having immense knowledge of the river and tides. This goes for a lot of my friends, neighbours and other acquaintances. The doubts were really reinforced by this expert, in inverted commas. They're eggy about Peter. Another agreeing here for this three-ring circus comment. Entirely different for the family to cling to hope than for an expert to boast about the efficacy of his search and the conclusiveness of not having found it there, and thereby stir up huge levels of speculation. It's like a repeat comment. Boar of Babylon says, shameless self-publicist and clearly not as good as he thinks he is. Now that one could just be the Lancashire police. I don't know. Another apple thief says, the worst was when I heard him say he'd even asked Paul Ansell whether Nicola had any enemies or some such. Who does he think he is? Meddling isn't a serious missing person inquiry that he knows zilch about. Reminds me of bloody Silent Witness, where Jack and Nicky race round like detectives instead of sticking to their job. Shall I start doing them regional accents? Silver glitter baubles. I feel bad for the police involved. They were criticised non-stop by armchair detectives, media, public, politicians, ex-police. None of these people had the full facts about the investigation, yet seemed to have all the answers. Even what a female superintendent choice of workwear was criticised. I understand the bad feelings about the police, but this was on a whole other level. Somebody wanted to do me to do a Scouse accent the other day, so I'll try it on this one. Matt Dillon's eyebrows. See me in the car park. Yeah, stay calm. I'm just getting the voice in my head, hang on. Sarge, stay calm, it's Gerard. There's definitely a theory that a white, attractive, middle-class... I can't do this. There's definitely a theory that white, attractive, middle-class females who go missing are more likely to have media attention. However, I think both Nicola Bulley and Sarah Everard had friends that work in media who raised the alarm, and I knew the right places to channel the attention. I think often it can be a case of who you know rather than who you are. Went a bit Manchester. Look, that was quite a serious comment for me to be doing a funny accent on. It's getting weird, says, the media have been guilty of giving people too much airtime for clickbait and viewing figures before. As recently as last year, they took advantage of a grieving family and the circumstance became a media circus. I don't want to quell freedom of speech, but I seriously think the whole way our media operates needs investigating and some boundaries put in place. And that also goes for media outlets being donors to political parties, etc. There has to be a better version of free speech that doesn't involve exploitation. So that original post is up on every time. I'm not going to read it every time I skip the page. This is now the next page again. We're still on the 19th of the 2nd. This is 8:55 in the evening. And Cosmic Cosmos feels inclined to type this. You want Manx? Do you want the Manchester? I can do the Manchester better, I reckon, our kid. Hey up, lad. Hey up, la. The whole case has been badly handled. The police seem to be on the back foot and are not in control. That allowed Peter in. Their lack of leadership, confidence and control. I can't do this. was shown in their awful invasion of privacy for Nicola and her family. There was an article on Sky News about how the police used to brief the media. There was an article on Sky News about how the police used to brief the media following press releases with important facts they were keeping from the public, letting them in on their methodology. This was often because they were luring out suspects. Evidently, they've stopped doing this. Support and trust from the police, press and public is at an all-time low. Proper swagger, kid. I can do it when I'm not on live on the... When I start doing it live on the internet, I get smiley and it fucks with my voice. I can do it. We're not even halfway through. Come on, I've got to push. Mucozade on Lucozade. Lucozade. That's our kid. He gave his services for free. He had the family's best interests at heart. He wasn't involved with searching the area she was found. He proved she wasn't in the water by the bench, and he was right. Let's not forget a tragedy happened, and can we please be respectful with comments? Mel in the middle says, we must remember it's the media who have frenzied all this and who are to blame. He should have just got on with the search. I do get fed up with the witch hunts. First the police, now this guy. The media are controlling the whole narrative. School Trip Drama says, let's see how Peter Faulding's book will do now, said Man in the Middle. And they've said, yeah, he'll be releasing a book now for sure. You just watch. Well, it was already planned, his book. It was like a year in the planning. Swedish Edith says he was already pushing one. His Twitter page is all about him and his book. Just Drama says, so many people blowing smoke up his backside, saying he worked for free. No, he had a book to sell and he was getting free publicity. Some of the stories of jobs he worked on were bullshit, quite frankly. People knew he wouldn't keep his mouth shut and they didn't engage. I hope he isn't employed, trusted again. I don't know about the bullshit bit, you know. Don't want to represent that when it's not really my opinion, because not going to go in for libel or slander. Did the police ask him to help, or was it the family? The family. He searched the area she was found and all relevant stretches of river upstream from it. Mirabai says, the family asked him to get involved. That's their prerogative. That's their prerogative. It's not for anyone here to say they shouldn't. He's obviously experienced at what he does, but the family weren't honest about him, the issues in her life, and neither were the police. Weren't honest with him about the issues in her life, and neither were the police. I took his certainty with a pinch of salt. He can only say he can't find her in the area he searched. I've no doubt he was sincerely trying to help them, which was more than anyone did on here. Eggy. Lindor Double Choc, good name. I really would like to know how common it is for people, men, women and children, covering all the different kinds of people there, non-binary. Do you want to add them in? I really would like to know how common it is for people, men, women and children, to go missing and stay missing for more than a week or two. I suspect it's still quite rare. I think they win a prize for the most obvious fucking ridiculous comment that we don't need. I'd like to know how common it is for people to go missing and stay missing. Quite rare? Yeah, it is actually. That's why it's like, you know, it's why it's one of those things that we... big ups, Phantasmic Ether. I'm good, yeah, I'm good. I hope you enjoy your work. Listen while you work. Hitler is a twerp. He's so barmy and his army. Whistle while you work. What's your name? Give me your name. Don't tell him, Pike. Ha 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 ha. It's funnies. So, we're going to move over that one, which is about the race issue. Do you think he had their best interests at heart when he went on TV to talk about the police? Get it right. They were doing it all wrong, and they'd found her in that time. If they'd have found her in that... I can't read properly. Get it right. They were doing it all wrong, and they'd have found her in that time if she was in the river, and they were doing it his way. If he was there, he'd do it properly, because he works... Oh, sorry, this is why I'm reading it wrong, is because they're doing it sarcastically. These chuffers on Mumsnet. Get it right. They were doing it all wrong, and they'd have found her in that time if she was in the river, and they were doing it his way. If he was there, he'd do it properly, because he works with the police. His sonar's bigger than their sonar. His operators are better, and he's got vast experience. Oh, and he's got a book out. Well, Eggy. Summer winds. His overinflated ego and big mouth got the better of him. He's made himself look a complete fool. He's stirred up a lot of unnecessary trouble trying to make himself look good and undermining the police, all under the false guise of trying to help. Holy Guacamole says, I hope he feels pretty shit. He turned it into a circus. That poor family. Quite, says Pigs. So much of this is down to him, personally. Fasting Started says, he really needs to disappear quietly into obscurity now. Well, news for you, he doesn't. Focus on the supposed great work he's always banging on about doing. Matty MC says, hello, I just stumbled upon this. I've worked with the gentleman in question on 2 separate occasions. He's about as useful as a fire extinguisher during a forest fire. Now, that does make me wonder about the police involvement on this thread. Hello, I just stumbled upon this. I've worked with the gentleman in question on 2 separate occasions. This might not be true. It's just on Mumsnet. He's about as useful as a fire extinguisher during a forest fire. So make of that what you will. Wombs of Wimbledon says, male know-it-all ego. Like a cut-rate version of Elon Musk when he throws his weight around his high-profile situations, offering digging equipment and satellites, etc. with questionable outcomes. Queen No Ones, I've literally joined Mumsnet so I can write on this thread. So glad to find somewhere to vent about this man. If it wasn't real life and a real person's life, I'd call it a comedy sketch or something from the Daily Mash. He comes across as a twat, spouting his opinions and hijacking in I've been working with the police for XYZ years after every speculation. It's truly mind-boggling how this was allowed. I've been quietly seething with rage every time I saw his name in the headlines, says Queen No Ones. We're going to jump over the racist ones, the racial motivated debate that's been happening about whether, if she was black, she would have been found or whatever. I don't know what it was because it's deleted. So it's just that they're talking about. Don't worry. I'm glad we can skip past those. Big ups, Robin Green. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. An incentive to help you practice your accent. Which you can ask for an accent if you're a super chat. Accents for super chats. Cash for questions. Accents for super chats. Have a bit of that. Except accents by indigenous peoples of Africa. I think it gets a bit... I'm not going to do Nigerian. I think it would just get a bit... I don't know where the lines are drawn. Scouse. Just Jen says, Super Chuffer, that Scouse was a good attempt, but I need to show you how it's done, lol. Hey up there. I'm somewhere more Manchester than Scouse, aren't I? Which is funny because I've got friends. Anyway, look, are we allowed to talk about Peter Faulding? Did he say she's definitely not in the water or just not in the part he searched? Endcat says, what a nasty thread this is. Someone's lost their life and Nicola's family are in hell waiting to find out if the body's her. None of you know what happened. None of you know whether an industry expert was right or not because you literally don't know what happened. You're dragging someone's name through the mud when you've no idea what happened, and none of this is helpful to the poor family involved. They get well eggy on Mumsnet, don't they? It's raw on Mumsnet. Fasting says, has anyone Unnatural Causes by Dr. Richard Shepherd, a book which did very well but talked about the career of a pathologist and covered his work. Towards the end, it wasn't the entire focus. In notable cases towards the end, like 9/11 and the tsunami, I've known... How they spun this into a hit on Pete. Like, this is fucking... I feel bad for Peter now, although, to be honest, like, I can tell you my own personal opinion, which is the sainting of Peter, the anointing of the sainthood of Peter Faulding, and the bull rush to suck him off. I was a bit like, whoa, let's stand back a minute. I mean, the guy's got other interests, and maybe some of these quite barbed critiques are actually fair in some ways about, the media thing, the media. Anyway, look, the people on Mumsnet, they don't give two fucks. They are just eggs, aren't they? They are eggs. Little chuffing Larry Weedman. Big up Battle Cat. The little chuffer man, the Larry Weedman. Glad to see the Angry Allen's nutters and the people that I've banned from this stream.
I couldn't be happier.
Big ups.
They sent tippies. Lubricate your larynx with some milky goodness. Super Chuffer owes 5 hugs.
They all know I love the milky chocolate soya milky goodness. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I shouldn't mention that horrible man on this stream, but he's friends and some people that I banned from this stream have made their way onto some other streams to support other streamers, and it's all got a little bit political out there. And there was a comment by another lady that I haven't watched many of her videos, but she doesn't want people talking about her, and she doesn't want to be talked about, she doesn't want any drama. And I thought, well, that's an interesting way to point it out. I'm not going to get dragged into dramas by atting people in my fucking, at this and at that, and I'm just going to send out some love just to not drag you into any fucking political drama. Interesting, isn't it, that people are trying to drag people into political dramas on the internet instead of focusing on the Nicola Buddhist. Anyway, don't let me get started. I'm doing Mumsnet. What am I? Big ups Glakia. As a mum, I could say Mumsnet is a viper pit, worse than the Daily Mail's comment section. It sounds fucking wild, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know what's going on with the kids. Are they naughty? Are all these kids really naughty? And the mums are like, they've fucking had enough. And so, like, once they've been packed off to their dads for the weekend, they get on Mumsnet and fucking let it out. What's going on? Anyway, look. As Anyone Unnatural Causes by Dr. Richard Shepherd, a book did very well. Talked about a pathologist. I've no doubt that Peter Faulding's book was an attempt at recreating this. The Apple bookstore has been hammering me with recommendations for it just before I had the misfortune of knowing Peter Faulding was. It's notable to me that it come out and said he believes the spy in the bag case had to be foul play. While that case is wild, many notable people involved, including the pathologist mentioned above, who performed a post-mortem on him, have stated they don't believe this to be true. What knowledge of it does Peter Faulding have? He seems to have form for shouting from the sidelines. Peter Faulding has name-dropped all these cases like April Jones. We heard him do it earlier. But his personal involvement is far from clear, apparently. Notably, others involved aren't shouting it from the rooftops to sell a book. He's shameless, and whilst we have no say in who works with him privately, I'd be horrified to learn police continue to use his services. It's quite bad for Peter, that is. Did he say she's definitely not in the water, or just the parts he searched? Both, and on other things, but she was in the part of the water that he searched. In my opinion, this was a full circus long before Peter Faulding got involved. I don't completely agree. It got a bit more, I think, on another level after Peter Faulding got involved. Because he did the media press conference. Like, the police weren't doing as many media things, and he was doing a lot more media things. So, what a nasty thread this is. Replied, I totally agree. The trolls are either attacking her family, casting aspersions about her husband, or they're attacking someone the family brought in to help search for her. Trolls, says Mirabi. That must be me. I'm just a little troll, apparently. Nimrod12 says, he owns the business, and yes, I do believe his business will suffer based on his ardent speculations that turned out to be false. I also think his equipment isn't as good as he says it is. He's also now backtracking on not checking the reads. For fuck's sake, that would be any person's go-to when a person is suspected of having fallen into a river. It's not like the victim jumped into the middle of the river. She'd always have been close to the bank depending on the course of the strength of any tidal areas. It's an interesting point, isn't it? Like, because Peter had a group of people, he has a team, like he's brought a load of people with him, like full team, and he's on the boat, and there's a few of them on the boat, but he could also have some people checking the reads. He's not, like, the police have not said to him, you can't check the reads, I don't think. So, yes, he's focused on his sonar and all that, but he's searching the river, and his remit is to search the river. I think they might have let him poke around in the reeds if he wanted to. I think they might have let him. So it's interesting that he's just going to say, I didn't touch the reeds, that's not, I just look in this part of the river, just me, this. Nothing else me. But I also did a low-key search where I went out and looked for burial sites, but not the reeds. My heart goes out to the family and friends right now, and the guy needs to shut his mouth. This isn't all about him, and any publicity he sought to gain has pretty much been delivered to him on a platter for every wrong reason. Boar of Wabalon says, I would not be surprised to learn that Peter Faulding approached the family initially, rather than the other way about. Well, as we saw through the media clip that I showed you at the start earlier, Peter Faulding was on the news talking about this before he was invited in. It's not that she entered the edge. Everything gets caught on the reeds at the edge, and specifically the bends of a river. Apologies to anyone who finds that distasteful. I do a bit, but it's true. Mukazade on Lucasade says, guys, it might be that she was tragically put there after the guy searched the water. It's all a horrible situation. In reply, Pig says, it's highly unlikely, but even if that's the case, it wouldn't make his actions over the last 2 weeks any more acceptable. There can be no excuses for the way he's behaved. Nimrod, either way.
Again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish!
Happy days,
Whoosh!
Sensitives. Big ups to Scott and best moderators on YouTube, Andy Slinky Socks and Dovin Dolly's mom. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
There you go, you should all have a pound out of that. Thank you, happy days. Thank you. Trying to keep it like irreverent and lively enough to be fun listening, really, because it's quite dark and horrible topic, isn't it? And like, it's just getting, for me, it's getting too pissy and political. I'm not here to have a political pissing match with people who think Andrew Tate's good, or like, you know, Sam Smith trying to gay up the kids. Like, they could, I'm not going to get drawn in by people like calling people out on the internet and shit like that. And I've shout out to that lady who I didn't, you know, what was her name? Chats, Vicky Marie Chats, for doing a video saying, yeah, I'm not going to get drawn in by people trying to draw me into a piffle paffle. Fair play to that. I don't know anything about her content or anything. You know, I don't start, because then she'll turn out to be, you know, I say that they're good and they turn out to think that, you know, hedgehogs don't exist or fox hunting's good or something, you know. Yeah, don't get me on that. But yeah. Nimrod. I should have given them their own voices, but then I'd have to remember who is who. Nimrod says, either way, it's a tragic tale and one that I hope the family can one day see a light. What a sad ending and an appalling investigation from start to finish. I can only imagine.
Sierra J.
Swish!
Have a warm one on me.
Thank you.
Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
Do you know what I do with the chocolate soy milk? Is I do put it into a cup at the end of the day and I warm it. I do that. We've got a little background here for Christmas. I do warm the chocolate soy milk in a cup, and when I'm warming my chocolate soy milk in a cup, I often choose, which I never choose actually, because I keep this clean and never use it, but the Battery Boy official battery exhausted mug, which you can't buy on this channel, so I don't even know why I'm promoting it. But if you haven't got one of those for Christmas, I'm going to try and get off my arse and do a very cheeky Christmas special edition for you as well. So look out for that. Get yourself a mug. There's a link on the other channel. Nelly Irreverent says, he acted unprofessionally. He has a book to promote. Ironic that his behaviour and failure to find Nicolai, despite being so cocky about his expertise, will/should backfire on him professionally. See, there's a lot of people that are quite eggy about him. All is Wells, in reply to Boar of Babylon, says, that's exactly what happened. He was being interviewed by a news programme as a so-called expert, and he said if they asked him, he'd help with his team and equipment for free. He said if she was in the river, he'd find her. Then, after searching the river, he said she wasn't in the river. She might have run away with a lover, etc. He was the loudest speculative voice and threw quite a few speculative theories out there, all while criticising the police. Zila, how embarrassing for him, and how stupid to make such categorical statements about being able to find her in a day of her being or not being in the river. Did he think it could backfire? This is a bit about the race privilege, so we're going to skip over that. Music Penny says, the only thread I can find on Peter Faulding. He's a self-promoting with a book out. Sorry, she didn't say it badly. It was me. He is self-promoting with also a book out. Oh, she did say it badly. It wasn't just me. He 100% checked that stretch of area, telling us if Nicola was there, he would know 100%. Afterward, he guaranteed 100% that she was not there. He has used insults, been uncaring and thoughtless. He was right about the 100%. He's a 100% jerk. I guarantee he'll be making a 100% stupid statement soon, more in detail. On his Google review, a fellow river diver for the police said they were glad he left Dats after. They are eggies. Something needs to change, says he shouldn't have spoken to the media. I've lost count of how many I've seen saying she's been put there. They haven't confirmed it's her yet. This is obviously the 19th, the 20th, these messages are going on. So, asking Matty, who said that they worked with him, in what capacity have you worked with him? I don't know if that gets a reply. Francis says, he does sound a bit like Gilderoy Lockhart from Harry Potter movies, and I don't know who that is. So, Ian says, would love an episode on why music has become poor since 1980s ended. You just needed to get in with the drum and bass. Drum and bass was really good. So that was 90s. And then obviously 2000s and dubstep, like something's gone wrong. You know, something's gone wrong with the internet's done it to them. It's the young people and the internet. Something's gone wrong. You know, mumble rap. I mean, what are they on about? I agree. Huddersfield Lass, I think he was trying to help, but it seemed to want to promote his company and himself at the same time, which wasn't professional. It looked like the police needed support searching the river, and he offered, although I think he was very self-promoting. If the police were going to use his services, they should have informed him, at the very least, that she could have committed suicide or added risks that they didn't need to go into lots of detail. It may have made a difference. Also, I think he's got into interviews because the police haven't handled the media as well as they could have done in this case. There's lots of other high-profile crimes, sadly, but this seems to have gone wrong somewhere. Kind of balanced that one, wasn't it? Huddersfield Lass there. In reply, Silver Glitter Bauble says, I believe it was the family who asked for his assistance and not the police. His presence and comments were unprofessional, deeply unhelpful, and just fueled further speculation. So shut her down there. I don't think Huddersfield Lass is going to come back and reply to any more after that, because if I went on a comments post and just said a reasonably balanced thing and someone came at me with, fuck you, he's the devil, he's unprofessional, deeply unhelpful, what's wrong with you, Huddersfield Lass? Then I'd just be like, leave it, fuck you. Yeah, shouts out in chat. Seaman saying shouts out to Trisha. We'll also shouts out to Trisha, the only psychic that I would countenance talking to on the internet. That's pretty big, you know. I'm not like I'm quite level-headed with that sort of stuff, quite down to earth. But you know, in the evenings when the light dims and we've got the fire on and might want to get out the tarot cards and have a little bit of a thing. I'm open-minded to a bit of fun, but I'm quite straightforward and quite, you know, head screwed on, serious, not scientific, not having it. But Trisha Gelder, like, let's be fair to her, pretty bang on when she does the old readings as far as I've seen. Really enjoy them as an entertainment product, whatever your ideas are. I'm open-minded. People can give it, take it, enjoy it, leave it. I like it. Trisha's the only one that I enjoy on the internet. Big ups, Trisha. Hope that doesn't... Again, every time I fucking say that someone's good and they turn out to be a nutter, let's just pray that people don't turn out to be nutters. New Wardrobe says, if Peter Faulding was as experienced as he said he was, he shouldn't have had to have all the possibilities spelled out to him. Number 5. Page 5 of probably more than 9, I think. I don't know how many long this goes on. Not Imagine, I don't know what it's a funny name. Pretty much every major industry has, around its periphery, some individuals, often former employees in that particular line of work. Peter Faulding's not that, but he is on the periphery, yeah, who are able to talk to the press without fear of losing their job or facing other professional sanctions. They're often labelled as consultant, commentator on, expert, former. Because those individuals don't have a boss or are now their own boss, they can be a bit relaxed with their comments, and as a result, some of the news agencies seem to have their phone numbers on speed dial. What's gone with this expert isn't that unusual, but obviously very, very, very high profile and very unfortunate in this particular case. Oh, Huddersfield Lass is back. No, he was working with the police divers. They had a long briefing with him. They released a statement while he was there, thanking him for his support to Lancashire Police. Comma, quote, it's been 10 days now since Nicola went missing, and I have 2 little girls who miss their mummy desperately and who need her back. This has been such a tough time for the girls especially, but also for me and all of Nicola's family and friends, as well as the wider community, and I want to thank them for their love and support. We're also really grateful to Peter and his team from SGI for coming up and helping support the work of Lancashire Police as they continue their investigation. If anyone has any information which could help find Nicola, I urge them to get in touch with the police and help us provide the answers we all so badly need. 1 cup of milk. Absolutely agree. The trolls have started a new witch hunt. Trolls bad. Trolls bad. 1 cup of milk. Fairy Whale, in reply to a big one, says she was of working class background, and this is that thing about race and gender and stuff again. Think you and a couple of others mean a different sort of background. So we're skipping over that. The polluted shades of Pemberley. He looks like a complete tool now on the world stage. Him bleating that he only had a day and his job was to look at the riverbed. Only is lame when prior to the body being found, he was holding himself up as an expert water and land search expert. He's basically saying that she was probably in the reeds, and he doesn't look in reeds. There's no evidence that she was in the reeds. He was adamant she wasn't in the river. End of. Him being interviewed on TV and him wearing that disgusting tie made me want to kick the telly. He was all about self-promotion. He should be ashamed of himself. Sorry, this one. I've got to do a voice for this one. Go, mummy, go, mummy, go, mummy. Go, mummy, go, mummy, go, mummy. Him being interviewed on TV and him wearing that disgusting tie made me want to kick the telly. It was all about self-promotion. He should be ashamed of himself, and I hope he doesn't sell one copy of his poxy book. Big ups, Colette. Gestating that babis. In your imagination, though, obviously. My sugar baby love. And let's not forget that his narrative changed after Nicola's vulnerabilities emerged, and he started going on about looking for whiskey bottles. Despicable man. Sorry, what did the police do wrong? Nothing. They did nothing wrong. Electric Moccasin says, I agree with PP that for people local to Flyde Coast and those who know the river well, we were all certain that she was in there. And would be very hard to find if that was indeed the case. The neighbour, Charlotte Drake, was 100% certain she wasn't in the river. It's all over Facebook. People telling people to back them. Another friend on Sky constantly calling out the police hypothesis. Locals whipped up this too. Dan Walker is also a disgrace. Dan Walker's been thrown in there now. Dan Walker should have worn a helmet. Go, mummy, go, mummy. Kick the fucking tennis. I think some people are going to be eggies kick the tellies over me doing this episode, aren't they? To be honest, I wanted to talk about Peter Faulding's, potentially questionable reputation and motives, and like Saint Peter, sanctified Peter, Saint Peter, let's suck his balls. But the truth is, like, millions of pounds involved in the companies, lots of money, government contracts, in with the government, like. It's not all like just sunshine roses and helping people. In fact, with his search and rescue, it's pretty certain that a lot of the people are already fucking dead. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but do you know what I mean? It's like a bit morbid, isn't it? So like, I don't know, like I wasn't swift to jump on the fucking bandwagon anyway. And then this is interesting content, so we'll wait to see what he says tomorrow, and then as I get through, because I've still got to get through the entire COP report, Peter's response. I've got all the time in the world and all the interviews to look at and do my little press play, stop, pause, react stuff, haven't I? So I've got a bit of all that to do, as long as they don't murder me in the meantime. Go, mummy, go, mummy. Right, listen. I remember, this is now from Cake or Wine. This is the 20th of the 2nd, 2023. I remember headlines in the Daily Mail, which also has a lot of questions for itself this morning. She's definitely not in the river, says dive expert. She could not have fallen in, as she could stand up and it's shallow there. I will search the buildings and find her. I think he needs to reflect, as do many other people. The disappearance has grabbed the attention of the media. Sadly, there are many other missing people cases which don't grab the attention. R.I.P. Nicola. Well said. R.I.P. Nicola. Not him again. None of you know what happened. None of you know whether an industry expert was right or not, because you literally don't know what happened. In replying to this, they're saying, that's true, but I reckon not whether he was right or wrong. It's whether he should have been expressing any public opinion at all. I think he has perhaps unwittingly made a case for police forces retaining their underwater search teams rather than subcontracting them to private contractors when required. Good point. You know, the police are not going to want to subcontract their private searches to this man who does all these media talkings and theories and ideas, are they? Maybe he should have just not expressed any opinion rather than being right or wrong. Hello Treacle says, one thing I don't understand is why the police didn't ask him to sign an NDA so he couldn't talk to the press about a live case. Interesting, because that comes up later in the CIP report, doesn't it? Perhaps because missing person rather than a criminal inquiry. Comm strategy throughout has not been helpful. Bella, back again. I didn't realise he had his own business / self-employed. This makes it harder for him to face accountability, unless of course his business is affected by the fact that he's been so unprofessional and inappropriate. What happens if you've got lots of, what do they call them, creditors? Creditors, is that people that you owe money to? Again, I'm not a forensic psychologist. Not a forensic psychologist, sorry, not a forensic accountant. So going down the what you call it, Specialist Group International, and looking for their like recent filing history and looking at like the recent accounts, which won't be this year, it'll be last year, won't it? It'll be last year, won't it? But it's big money. Creditors though, creditors 850,000. That's a lot of monies to be creditors. That's money you pay out. Debtors is 865 though. That's more than the creditors. So you're owed more money than you're spending, which is good, but you're owed it. The cash in the bank's 80 grand. That's still a lot of monies, and tangible assets of 1.3 million and stuff, and what's that, retained earnings £500,000 quid, and shareholder funds £1 million. That's 987. That's nearly £1 million. 987,000. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of monies. It is a lot of monies. Silver Glitter Bauble says, what this case highlights is the need for some kind of embargo on commentary or opinions from experts, former police, etc. on a live ongoing investigation. Report the facts, ask for witnesses to come forward, and then ban all speculative commentary in the media. Sorry. Just the fascism coming to the fore. Ban all speculative commentary in the media. How many clicks and how much revenue did the stories generate in the DM, for example? In the DM? None of which was helpful and all completely unnecessary. Newspapers should not be allowed to interfere in police investigations, and they certainly shouldn't profit from the misery of a family in turmoil. It's weird, isn't it? Because she's throwing that firmly at the... she's on social media. Say she, it's Mumsnet. They are on social media, and they're throwing it firmly at the newspapers and people profiting, instead of... Because it was a lot of social media. Oh, you're profiting on social media, you ghouls. But throwing it at the media there. Marcus says Mumsnet is where all the nastiest women go for a bum fight after Loose Women is finished. Seems like they're pretty fucking eggy, I'll tell you that. But a lot of them are pretty fucking eggy about Peter Faulding. Lots of different people here, lots of different names, lots of recurring... They could be arguing about it, but they generally are on the same sort of vibe, aren't they? The disappearances grab the attention of the media. Sadly, there are many other missing people cases which don't grab the attention. Is that really such a bad thing, though? Says my sugar baby love. If you look at this case, not one positive thing has come from it being in the press. Not one. Karen says, Emma's selling Marsh Farm. What about your ham-free wedding now? Oh, no. Well, maybe I'll just buy it. Maybe I'll just make him an offer. I'm definitely considering buying the fucking Nicola Bullis house. I don't want to go up there and get murdered, but on the other hand, maybe I should do a GoFundMe. If you look at this case, not one positive thing has come from it being in the press, not one. The police weren't pushing the media line because it was suspected she was in the river all along. They didn't believe anyone else to be involved, and so other than questioning people as to whether they'd seen her there, they didn't need to be constant media speculation or attention. I can absolutely understand why someone might want as much attention drawn to their loved one's disappearance as possible, but I think people should think twice about whether going to the press is really beneficial to anyone other than said press who make money out of this kind of thing. And the likes of Peter Faulding, who used this as a platform to gain fame for himself, turns out it was infamy. Just at the time he's published a book. How convenient this must have been for him. I wonder if he would have been so quick to come forward and give interviews and such if he wasn't promoting his book at the time. In terms of Nicola's vulnerabilities, I think questions also need to be asked about how much police need to respect a family's wishes in this instance, when not doing so ends up in this kind of circus. The reality is that her vulnerabilities came to light because someone threatened to sell the story to the press. If someone is vulnerable to that extent, it's rarely a secret in a small village and was bound to come out in full detail, even the alcohol issues. Like, I see what you're saying in chat about, Mumsnet's pretty fucking dark, but it's this also as well. Is like, that seemed like a fairly well thought out and well written piece, that one. I'm like, I don't know who my sugar baby lover is, but she seems like to got she's cognitive enough to write out an interesting and well written, like formatted, punctuated, she's done a good job there. So there are her ideas that are contained within. Red Helen B says, in response to the fact that she might have been tragically put there afterwards, that's highly unlikely. So I shut that down. Renoir, Dan Walker has also gone down in my estimation. Dan fucking Walker. Dan Walker has also gone down in my estimation after his ill-timed interview with Nicola's partner. It was clear this was a man suffering great stress, yet it gave armchair detectives more ammunition for their outlandish theories. It should never have happened, and it was all on Channel 5 for ratings. I thought better of Dan Walker. I thought better of Dan Walker. Red Helen B, in response to Rodney Zaplonka talking of vulnerabilities. My first thought when the police said they thought she was in the river was suicide. They didn't have to spell it out for him. Surely as a search diver that must be quite a common scenario. Fernie Toro, he's about to be interviewed on ITV, which is I suppose the Daily Mail on TV. I doubt he'll be apologising, which would be the only reason he should be on. My sugar baby love says, and this is someone who I thought was quite reasonable before, so let's see, maybe they can follow up their reasonable. Maybe they just look like they can write nice prose anyway. Guys, it might be that she was tragically put there after the guy searched the water. It's all a horrible situation. Oh, give it a bloody rest. Woman goes missing. Police, we believe she's in the river and there's no one else involved. There's no evidence that a crime was committed. Peter Faulding. If she's in the river, I'll find her within an hour. Next day. Within a day. Next day after. She's not in the river. Public. That expert guy said she's not in the river. So she's not in the river. Let's start breaking into buildings and stalking people and accusing the family and friends. If we've made up enough stories about them, one of them's bound to be true. Oh, and if you want real facts, you can read my threads here on Mumsnet, which start with a helpful frequently asked questions for anyone who wants to know about the case in depth. A week later, police. Nicola had some vulnerabilities which we didn't reveal beforehand in defence to her family. We still believe she's in the river and there's no evidence that a crime has been committed. People on the internet. I wonder what the vulnerabilities were. Obviously the partner and her sister friend, insert person of choice, were having an affair. She was under investigation by social services, Police. We wanted to clarify that Nicola had some alcohol issues which had resurfaced after the menopause. Public. How dare the police reveal her vulnerabilities? Family. The police revealed Nicola's struggles because someone had threatened to sell the story. Peter Faulding. Maybe I was wrong. I didn't have all the facts, you see. Maybe I need to search the river again for whiskey bottles and such. Police. A body's been found in the river. Public. It was probably never there. It was probably planted there. That expert bloke said she wasn't in the river, That's like she's written, my sugar baby love needs to come on board with me and together we'll write fucking Nicola Bully the musical. I mean, she's written a script there. Like a full... it's funny, some people say about all this stuff and like they go into like what I think is getting a bit ridiculous about like psyops and stuff. But there someone's written a good script. I mean, those people are going to have a field day with Peter Faulding as well, aren't they? And the fact that he just basically, private company and working with the government, doing things and this and that. Like they're going to be like, oh, I'm not on that tip. Any bloody name. Like we're still going. Look, it's still going. I'm going through to the end of this. I'm committed. I'm committed to letting you know what they said on Mumsnet about Peter Faulding. It's just a thing. I said a little bit at the start, which I was going to turn into a proper video. I might still turn that video out. Saint Peter, I was going to call it. Saint Peter. The people on Mumsnet were already well ahead of me, though, so... Although it does worry me a little bit, they're so pointed and barbed and kind of getting a bit eggy. And, like, maybe I shouldn't... You know, if everyone on Mumsnet is on the same tip as me, then maybe I should be off that tip. Am I doing ham hands? I might have a look. I did a little look. And, you know, catch me on the flippity flip for that. Yeah. We'll be collating some Nutter Watch on... We'll be getting on Battery Exhausted for some Nutter Watch. Do not worry. We will certainly will. I won't let that fountain run dry. There are some other nutters as well that we're going to be looking at. So, there you go. Look. Steve Dave talking about the Masons. Like, you know, I knew all that was going to start coming up. There you go. Any bloody name says he's on GMB now if anyone wants to watch. GMB. Good Morning Britain. Fernie Toro. Oh, he's got a fucking black polo neck on. Oh, he's doing the poor me routine. He's being made the fall guy. Fucking knob. And that is... We've got that one. We've got this.
Peter, you did say to us on the programme last week, I don't...
He's got a fucking black polo neck on.
...think she's here. And you
Man in fucking black.
I think there's probably a third party involved. In the end, was that speculation unhelpful?
I still go with that view in any inquiry, Ed, that people can disappear. You know, there was no evidence that Nicola went in the river at that particular at the bench because she would have fallen into 2 foot of water. I believe that Nicola probably walked off somewhere.
Didn't you just recently say she was found a certain distance from the site where she entered the water, which you said was there?
And either has gone in the river in some other way. But there's been much speculation around this, and unfortunately this is about now a missing, not trying to beat the blame up. There's always a fall guy, and obviously I'm the one who's taking the fall for this, but I, hand on heart, went to help that family, as we do many other families each year, for drowning victims.
Yeah, and it highlights, of course, the extreme difference.
Because obviously you said hand on heart there, didn't you? Like, I hand on heart went to help that family, is what he just said there. Bear in mind earlier, he said he hand on heart she wasn't in the river. So, like, hand on heart, he did his best, she wasn't in the river. Is that a bit of semantics? Hand on heart, I did my best, she wasn't in the river. So I'm not hand on heart, she wasn't in the river, but am I hand on heart, I helped the family? Or did I... Because hand on heart before meant you were lying about it, if I remember right, Peter. Because you were lying for my own good, so that you could be professional and back up the police here. Yeah? And this was February the 20th. And you're worried you're going to be the fall guy, and you don't want to be the fall guy, so hand on heart, you came to help the family, which is a hand on heart moment, which, I'm getting confused. You know, when people gaslight me and tell me they're lying to me for my own good, and because they're so honest, they lied to me because they're such an honest person, I find I struggle then in the future to know which bits I'm supposed to take as the truth or the lies. And then you factor in all this other stuff that the people on Mumsnet are so eggish about, you know, the book and this and that and the other, and you can sort of see where they're going with it in a way. Oh, he's got a fucking black polo neck on. Oh, he's doing the poor me routine. He's been made the fall guy. Knob. Sally says, I've seen so many people saying on Facebook, Twitter, etc. I think the body was only just put there. They searched the river and she wasn't there. Seriously? So the abductor murderer is going to drag a body to a very public river in a park that's crawling with press, police and curious members of the public to dump it? Why? If anyone had the body, they'd put it far, far away from that area. I feel like some people are desperately want it to be a murder for some reason. Bizarre. It's funny that is actually she says that. Because the only person involved in this, and I'm saying this is a joke, I'm not saying Peter's done a murder. You know, maybe I'll do one of my I done a murder things, my GoFundMe's I done a murder ones. Peter, like, no, look, but the only person who could actually have access to the water to dump her in there and a vested interest in her being in there would be this chuffer, wouldn't it? But he didn't find her, so that's fine. Or he did find her, and he told the police to look, and they looked, and she wasn't her. But later on, he was definitely sure it was her. But then he went back and had a look, and it wasn't. She wasn't there. And we've got lots of pictures of drone footage and aerial footage of this particular thing where he said she was, and you can basically see through to the bottom. in part of it, and I don't see her there on that footage. But then I'm not an expert, and I haven't seen the sonar, and none of us ever can because it's bad for the family. So if Peter ever chose to sell it to a media outlet like Netflix or as part of a book deal, I'd be really concerned, because maybe, I suppose, he would have had the family vote on whether it should go into the Netflix or whatever. But sadly for Peter, he's painted himself into a corner where he can never prove what he's saying, because bad for the family, they can't ever see that, even though it's just a shadow and a thing and and what have you. And it was okay to tell the family that you think like she might be buried somewhere nearby, and you've got vast experiences finding buried bodies and considering all options. It was all right to drag them around through that when at that time you'd seen what you thought was her on the sonar, but you wanted to low-key search deposition sites. So it all gets a bit confusing to me, but I would encourage you to make up your own fucking mind on this. Easy. I suppose it'd be easy not to have to think about any of this and just be like, he's good, they bad, police bad, Peter good. It'd be nice to have a very clear, like, very obvious sort of demarked good, bad, simple terms. But unfortunately, things just ain't like that in this case, are they? My sugar baby love, who's my favourite one, remember, from this, my favourite one, says, why are they giving him airtime? For once we need someone like Piers Morgan who would have ripped him a new one. Oh, you were my favourite one. You can't even spell Piers right. Get off with you now, my sugar baby love. Sweet Sakura responds to sugar baby love's big post with, this is exactly what happened. That's the script that she wrote, remember? This is exactly what happened, and it's been so frustrating to watch, and I'm the last to pretend the police are perfect, but they've been unfairly criticised in this instance. If anything, the thing they did wrong was to bow down to public pressure and throw too many resources at it. It was also disappointing to see politicians wade in and criticise the police without thinking logically about the sequence of events that created the social media frenzy. Huh? Mince and mash. He was using Nicola's disappearance to promote his book. He's disgusting, and even now he can't admit that he was wrong. A so-called expert who didn't bother to check in the reads. An expert who didn't bother to check in the reads. It would be laughable if it wasn't so sad. That's Mince and Mash said that there. It goes on. This is page 6 of... So just check how many it goes up to. 9. 6 of 9. So don't worry, it does end. Sweet Sakura, in reply to Mince and Mash's quite interesting comment. Or, if not check the reads, at least not claim definitively that she wasn't in the river. You okay, hun? This is quite a big reply to never knowingly underbowled. And that's all about that race and privilege. So I think we're going to move on from that. Gannett. I'm not the one who defends the police much, and I don't think their comms have been top-notch in this case, but good grief. The unholy alliance of Peter Faulding and the media has been massively unhelpful. He's treated the entire thing like a book promo tour, and the media still all been too willing to give him a platform for it. And they still are. I see he's still doing the media rounds begging for sympathy. What an absolute grifter. What an absolute grifter. Oak Tree. He's still all over the news. Absolutely no shame. This is the original poster. You think he'd be crippled with embarrassment. I don't know if we say that these days, do we? Mumsnet. I suppose you can, like, you know, you can still, it's still an analogy, but oh, wait. I'm one of those wokeists. I'm one of those bad wokeists. I'm one of those fucking wokeists, aren't I? I'm one of those fucking idiot woke people with the woke agenda. Do you want to be awake to the narrative, question the narrative and be awake? Or do you want to be fucking asleep? What's the opposite of woke? Asleep. Asleep, a sheep. Perchance to dream. What's the opposite of woke, you chuffers? Kathy Burke will tell you. Oh, I'm having it again. Am I back? No, I'm running, I'm rolling, yeah, kilobytes. Kathy Burke woke. Kathy Burke will tell you. I like it, Kathy Burke. She's good. Kilobytes, watch out for the kilobytes.
Can I just say, that gets on my fucking nerves. They're calling you woke if you call out bad things, basically. If you're not racist, you're woke. If you're not homophobic, oh, you're woke. Be woke, kids. Be woke. Be wide awake. And fucking call it out.
There you go. Have a bit of that. Kathy Burke, thanks. Bit of a break for you. Was it police or Nicola's family who approached him for help? We've been through this, Zoe. Have you not read the fucking thread? God, now I'm getting eggy like the mums at Mumsnet. Someone have a pop at Zoe, please. I hope. In the next bit. The original poster here says, he volunteered himself publicly and then the family took him up on that offer, not the police. Thank you. Like, they're very polite to each other, aren't they? Considering it's already in the fucking thread. That would annoy me. I'd just be like, check the original thread. Why are you reading and not posting? Why are you posting and not reading? Like, fucking hell. I'd be good on Mumsnet. I should be a moderator on Mumsnet. Why are you posting and not fucking reading? Fucking hell. Fetch my Sauvignon. Sauvignon Blanc. I haven't got time to pour Sauvignon Blanc and also tell everyone the same fucking thing again. Do you want me to put an FAQ at the fucking start, Zoe? Fucking hell. Where's my Sauvignon Blanc? Emberline says, gosh, he really cannot stop talking, can he? Peter. They're talking. That's for Peter. Gosh, he really cannot stop talking, can he? And interesting that they might say that because I quickly just here, let me quickly, these were going to be in the video, you know, a bit more smartly. So unfortunately, it won't be as smart. It will just be less smart, but I'll do it. There it is. Look, CrimeCon UK, Peter Faulding won't stop talking. No, he's booked as a public talker, as a public talkerer. He's going to be doing some public talking at CrimeCon. So you can go and watch him there. 2024 CrimeCon, Glasgow and I believe London. Peter's worked on many high-profile missing person and no-body murder investigations, including the serial killer Peter Tobin, Linda Rizal, April Jones, the mystery death of MI6 officer Gareth Williams, and many more. He's trained police officers, search advisors, and the military at the Police National Search Centre. Peter's been a guest on the United States Secret Service and presented to their specialist teams, the US military and the FBI at their training school in Virginia, USA. Peter's qualified commercial diver, helicopter and fixed-wing pilot and holds UK and US licenses. It's interesting, isn't it? There's a little flight school up by Paul Ansell. Paul Ansell works in does something to do with aeroplanes. You'd get on. Oh, you already are friends. Let's go back to this. So yeah, he won't stop talking. No, but you can pay ticket money to go and watch him talk if you want. Puppy Lucky says, it's pretty common for adult men and women who go missing. Children for no obvious reasons. Often someone who's missing to their family isn't to the police. Not everyone wants to be found. In response to this one about how common it is. New Wardrobe says, this made me think of the Missing People Choir from BGT. All those people, some of whom have been missing for decades. Strawberry Delight. I've watched an interview on Facebook GB News. He actually defended the police and said all the trolls need to stop. It's not fair on her family. It's not even been confirmed it's her yet, but the trolls are sure they know someone killed her and put her there recently. Someone said they seen a man with a child the night before with heavy bags dumping somebody. Wait. This is a bit fucked. This is where Mumsnet, like, this is what I don't have, like, won't accept as part of the investigation. Objection hearsay. But they're going to go on to clarify this. So yeah, Strawberry Delight. Someone said they seen a man with a child the night before with heavy bags dumping something in the river. So they just stood and watched, did they? Not even confronting them. If they were suspicious, why didn't they contact the police? No, I'll just leave it and then report it on social media. People make up lies on social media, believe it or not. They like to feel important and part of the drama. It's disgusting and needs to stop. Nobody will know until the autopsy, cause of death, and how long she's been in the river, if it really is her. They just get eggy, don't they? It's disgusting. There's so much disgusting stuff. Peter Faulding's been quite a lot. They've said he was... Quite a lot of them have said that Peter Faulding's disgusting. Maggie FS, I'm pleased I found this thread. I commented on him on one of the others, but they were mostly bun fights. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, I felt the police on the ground probably were always doing the right things and didn't doubt their best efforts, but there were problems. The shambles of press conferences with misinformation in the early days opened door for doubts. They never owned the comms strategy, and in the modern world, that's part of work, whether we like it or feel it should be. They continue to be reactive and defensive, not proactive. I know I'll get slated, but for what it's worth, I think looking professional is more important than the SIO did no one any favours with the asymmetrical sleeveless dress. Nothing for strong professional women, nothing for Nicola's family. She became the talking point rather than the message she was conveying, which shows I'm not alone in my thoughts. And as someone that's senior, she should have known better or be advised better. And finally, which is not a bullet point now, because we've got bullet points here. Maggie has got bullet points in hers. And finally, they should have owned the narrative on the big mouth driving man's too. What? Oh, diving man. Oh, it's Peter again. And finally, they should have owned the narrative on the big-mouthed diving man too. Either he's a contractor working for us, so he keeps his mouth shut, or he's a random individual and, whilst experienced, knows nothing of this case, so don't listen to him, as he knows no more than Joe Public breaking into buildings. But the police let him do the search, which conveyed onto him a sense of authority. And he comes across as wholly unprofessional. He's obviously self-centred and has been spectacularly unhelpful in this whole thing. It just adds great sadness to how I feel for her family that he promised so much. Peter's getting the lickings here. Lickings of a dog, mate, isn't he? Lickings of a dog. I mean, I wasn't entirely favourable to him when I started the show, was I? But I just laid out some things that I've been thinking about and looking into a little bit. And I even made it clear, you know, my judgment is still a bit up in the air. Still a bit up in the air. But I know that I'm not sanctifying the man. I definitely know that. And, you know, track records on the protest. Oh, you can, I'm sure there's a nice way of saying it, and I'm sure there's a nice way, you know, I'm sure he had a lovely rapport with Swampy and all that, but the Huntington Life Science thing will never sit right with me. I don't know. Professional Peter. It's all about professionalism, remember? So I'm going to be expecting, because most professional people would turn to like thousands, no, not dissing numbers or anything, but, you know, 1,000 sub Andy on YouTube to do the big interview with, wouldn't they? Super professional, super pro. Wait a minute, cause I'm super pro. Told you it was controversial. Just is, isn't it? Just is controversial. It's not my fault. I didn't make it controversial. Saying what it is. Just saying what it is. I'm looking for my Roachy card. I got Roachy card. Ooh. Super pro, super shy. Wait a minute, cause I'm super shy. Super shy. Super shy. Do you know that? Do you know what that song is? It's K-pop, if you're interested. I'm getting trolls. Where? Who's trolling me? The mods will get rid of them, except if they're having a pop at me. If they're having a pop at me, I like to watch them for a bit and, you know, have a look at them. Super troll. Wait a minute, cause you're super trolls. Sticks and stones may never hurt me. Wait, which one is it? Sticks and stones do hurt me, don't they? But names and words and trolls don't break. Don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas. I'll drink their tears. Anyway, there's nothing wrong that I could see with the dress that the SIO wore. Says new wardrobe. So felt compelled to comment on the dress that the lady wore. Absolutely spot on, Maggie FS. Time for Mr. Faulding to take a step back and leave the family alone. And as for his questionable antics over the last few weeks, I'm really sorry if I offend anyone, but the guy needs to get off his soapbox and take a long, hard look at what he himself has allowed to transpire. A bad taste, to be honest. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And thankfully, in a couple of weeks, he will once again retreat into insignificance again. Such is the power of the media. Nimron says, why is my phone going a bit batty? I don't think this site likes my Android, lol. Hope you can make out what I was trying to say. Kindest thoughts to the family at this really difficult and stressful time. Good one. Annoyed with gossips. The family say they're upset about what people speculated about them, friends, family, etc. Well, MN posters did quite a lot of speculation. Mumsnet posters did quite a lot of speculation. As the police thought she sadly went into the water, the communication with the public was poor, and some of that due to the mass speculation on social media, Mumsnet included in that. Pigs. Nicola Bully update and statement for from her family, Monday, February 20th, 2023. So keeping us updated with the statement from the family. Sadly, we were able to confirm yesterday we recovered Nicola Bully from the River Wire. This was the statement, from the family. So we've been through that before. It saddens us to think one day we'll have to explain to them, etc., etc. We tried last night to take in what we've been told in the day, only to have Sky News and ITV making contact with us directly. Which is weird, of course, wasn't it? Because you had made contact with them in the past. Do the press and other media channels and so-called professionals not know when to stop? These are our lives and our children's lives. Yeah, that's the full statement anyway, yeah. Zanatidi says, this guy didn't help the whole media frenzy being whipped over what was essentially a run-of-the-mill missing person case. I think this guy, though, wouldn't have made the comments he did if he knew about the vulnerabilities. He assumed that if she was in the river, she fell in trying to help her dog or similar. He didn't consider that she could have waded in or gone further upstream herself to attempt ending it all. That would have changed his opinion, and I doubt he would have been so adamant she wasn't in the river. So I think he's got some unfair accusations, re his searchability, and he was searching a defined area on the basis there were no vulnerability or reasons why Nikki might have decided to take her own life. It's a different scenario when you know the extra info. I still think he shouldn't have got involved though, or made such bold statements. User here now says to Pigs in Noodles, so will you stop dissecting it now please? Leave it be. Pigs responds, will you stop hounding me please? You're obsessed, just go away. So this isn't good. Pigs, whoever user is, they can just shut up and fuck off, because who are you telling people to stop talking on a damn forum? No, it's a forum. Of course you're talking about things, dissecting things. So user is in the wrong place and needs to shut up, and Pigs has told them. But user's replying, and this is what happens, isn't it? Clearly you're the one that's obsessed. That's become worryingly apparent. Please, no more. Pigs carries on about replying about whipping up the media frenzy. I think this guy wouldn't have made the comments he did if he knew about the vulnerabilities, talking about Peter. He made those comments when he sat 200 miles away, having never spoken to the family, nor had any contact with the police running the investigation. He's just a random member of the public speculating with no knowledge of the facts. Pigs has posted something that got deleted, so I'm thinking that's to do with the little argument they were having with the user, I think, because they got something moderated out there. And User and Pigs there have both been moderated out, look, so they're obviously very eggy with each other. It's spiraled out of control there a little bit. Incanter. I was remotely aware this guy was talking way too much. It was a red flag. I think the police should have had a word with him. I hope they learn from this. This is not a criticism of the police. I think they did okay. It's interesting, isn't it? This is an open forum on Mumsnet, and okay, they're a bit fucking eggy, but there's not many people saying Peter Faulding done a good job here. There's not many people saying Peter Faulding's like a great guy. Let's, all go around and give him a massage. I think he's wonderful. Isn't it nice what he did with the animals? Huntington Life Sciences. There's not a lot of people saying nice things about him. See, man, this is not the ham stream. This is the Super Chuffer stream. Let's not get the streams crossed. Don't cross the streams. It's like Ghostbusters. Something bad will happen. Except right at the end when you need to do it for superpower to blow up that big chuffing Eggman. Pigs in Noodles and User, for the love of God and out of respect for Nicola and her family, will the pair of you just stop? For the love of Pigs and Noodles and User, for the love of God and out of respect for Nicola and her family, will the pair of you just stop? Pigs in Noodles, don't tell me to stop. I'm not the one making personal attacks on people across threads. Boar of Babylon, then why not just report the posts? Already done? This is about the skin colour thing and the privilege again. Dazzled by the options, this is sadly not the first time a so-called expert using side-scan sonar has made the same claim. In August 2012, a claim was made by a Duncan Winsbury, who was CEO of Sabo, that a young boy who went missing in Burnham-on-Sea was not there. The boy was found very soon after, exactly where that expert said he wasn't. Self-proclaimed experts should never ever be given any airtime, as they cause more problems and heartache. Both families, along with many more, have lost a loved one, and whilst the media has an important role to play in helping to find people, they really should stop allowing broadcast to those who spout nonsense and badly judge claims. Rest in peace all those lost. Again, Peter Faulding's been judged badly there by Dazzled by the Options. Big ups Colette. I'd fit in on Mumsnet. Well, I'm not a mummies. Do you have to have kids to go on Mumsnet? Pickle Me, because it doesn't seem to be anything about, I thought it was about parenting or something. It's not, it's about this. Pickle Me Walnut says, thank you for posting the family statement, Pigs. I hadn't seen it. I found it very powerful. Sweet Sakura replying to this quite interesting post by Dazzled by the Options. I agree. These bold claims by Peter Faulding really stirred up the speculation and theories, and he owes the family a huge apology for overstating the effectiveness of his search and giving fuel to frenzy. I mean, that's quite an... Peter Faulding stirred up speculation, you could say it, and theories, yeah, you could say that. He owes the family a huge apology for overstating the effectiveness of his search. Well, he told them that she wasn't there and all this stuff, didn't he? And then later it's, well, like he didn't find her. Like he can say he found her and he can say he found her, but I didn't see him pulling her out and like poking the stick. Like it's only this deep and whatever. I didn't see him reaching in and grabbing hold and pulling out a glove or whatever and being like, we found her. Like he didn't find her, did he? Didn't officially, like, legitimately. Like a bit like if I said I've hidden a gold bar somewhere, I've hidden an Easter egg, like I've hidden an Easter egg somewhere, and you could say, well, I went past it and I took a photograph of it, so I found it. And you'd be like, yeah, okay, but it's still out there, so when somebody finds it, they can keep it, the Easter egg, the gold bar, and then they go out and they find the gold bar, somebody else, and they go, oh, I found the gold bar, I found it. And you go, well, you didn't find it, I found it, I walked past it earlier, I took a photo, I can't show you the photo, but I've got a sort of shadowy photo from a like infrared thing that show you the photo. So I found the gold bar, I've got it, I'm gonna go spend it. Yeah, but no, I found it. Shut up, you didn't find it, I found it, I've got it in my hand. Like, so there you go. Maybe he does owe the family a huge apology for overstating the effectiveness of his search and giving fuel to the frenzy. Maggie FS, I agree, Sweet Sakura, dazzled by the options, but I also loop back to the point I made about the police giving him space to make these proclamations and the media providing the platforms. Sweet Sakura, Yes, that's a fair comment too, Maggie FS. Dazzled by the options. I entirely agree. They're all coming together now. It's interesting, isn't it, that now Nicola's laying to rest. I mean, some of us are still talking about her. So I guess, you know, people like me on the internet, us ghouls on the internet, we're still talking about her. I suppose Peter Faulding is as well, isn't he? Still talking about her. He will be tomorrow. So we'll all be looking out to see that, won't we? What I'll probably do... Oh, see, man, you got deleted. Look, you got moderated. What got you moderated? Hang on. Oh, come on, the buttons. Let me just use the buttons. Yeah, no, 50-50 on that moderating. Like, it's a bit heavy, but then you have been told ham talk, yeah? You have been told to, like, chill out on the ham talk, I suppose. Not officially, but now you're being officially warned. Chill out on the ham talk. But you are, like, don't feel that you're, you know, being moderated completely out. You're completely welcome to... But, like, this isn't... I did say, you know, I did say this isn't the stream for that, didn't I? I said this is, like, don't cross the streams. It's getting a bit too much for one of the mods. That's fair enough, I suppose. Am I capable of delivering Babis on the bathroom floor? Well, if you can squeeze it, I can catch it. Right, dazzled by the options. I entirely agree. They're starting to come together now in some cohesion. In that they all don't like Peter. It is interesting, though, isn't it? That, you know, for the families, you can't show that picture because the family, you know, it's too bad for the family. But we can go on talking about it because my reputation's at stake, effectively. So I'm going to have to keep going on talking about it until I've either sold enough books or fixed my reputation publicly. And then we can stop talking about it later. But then we'll talk about it, I suppose, more at the crime convention if you want to buy tickets. So just, I don't know at what point the family and how much we care about what they think and feel. Like me personally, I don't have to worry because I think if the family didn't want to hear me saying these things, they could just not watch this video. So I think that's okay. So, like, some of them might actually want to hear me saying some of the things that I say. Like, I'm pretty sure that in the early days, Ernie made it quite clear that he thought that Nicola Bulley had been taken by someone. So would be quite interested to investigate, you know, at length, whether that was the case in any way. Anyway, don't get me on all that shit. This is just me reading from Mumsnet. Isn't it? This is just me having a laugh reading from Mumsnet. Don't get me on all that shit. Don't drag me into all the politics. I just react to videos on the internet. Super Chuffer, I'm a body language and social commentary. You know, we do all sorts of stuff, but mainly it's body language here, really, on Super Chuffer and social commentary. And you'll see lots of content coming up. You'll see lots of interesting stuff. We're going to be finishing up on the COP report with Nicola Bulley. We're going to be looking at Peter Faulding's response. We're going to be looking at videos that Peter Faulding has made in the media, of course. And we're going to be looking at what gets said tomorrow. I'll probably do that on a Twitch stream. Probably be on Twitch tomorrow, just watching that, seeing what goes down. If you want to join me over there. But, yeah, got lots of interesting things planned for this channel, so keep an eye out for this. But I am not, and I will categorically state this, I am not a true crime YouTuber. I'm not here to solve every case, to find any hidden clue that no one else could. I'm here to do my very utmost best at reading psychology, giving my opinion, maybe. Such a thing. And then, like, you know, making content that we can enjoy. So, like, chill the fuck out and enjoy it. Right. Cave at the Moment Tour says, this guy is now claiming that because she was found in the river, right by the road, she was dumped into the wire from the road. Is there no limit to this man's awfulness in relation to this case? Has he? Where's he said that? I haven't seen that. Where's he said that? So if he really doesn't know when to stop, does he? If so, he really doesn't know when to stop, does he? That's really shocking. The police need to speak to him. He hasn't said it, and that post should be withdrawn. He certainly put the theory out there, but phrased quite carefully. Something like, it wouldn't be right to speculate, but the road is close to where the body was found, and it's possible that... Around 2 minutes 40 in this video. A video, you say? I like videos.
Forensic search and rescue specialist Peter Faulding, who selflessly joined the underwater search for the 45-year-old, says he...
possibility, but I don't want to spark speculation on that. But she was not in the river the day we searched. But the thing is with tidal rivers...
What about where she was found specifically? What about where she was found specifically? Had you specifically... I know you didn't look into the reeds in the riverbed, but the riverbed, did you specifically search there?
Yes, we drove past it with a sonar. It was crystal clear. Nothing.
And
nothing
absolutely no sign. Okay.
No sign. I would see a body extremely clearly on our sonar without fail.
Okay. Well, look. Stand by. Former Met Police Senior Detective Simon Hardy. What do you think has gone on here?
Strainers, and especially on the corner, on a bend, and obviously the water will rise and it will go out every 6 hours. There's a turn of the tide, and things can move out very quickly. We worked on one operation in Kent where a sheep was going up.
They said it was around 2:40 in the video. Pigs in Noodles now clarifies this. They've put it in comments, inverted commas. So this Great Britain news video, maybe I'll have to go through it myself to find. So let's quickly watch on YouTube. And Dan, 10 minutes of Dan Wootton, who can put up with that. So what I'll do is I'll go for see transcript, please. Show me the transcript. Thank you very much. And what was being said here is, I don't want to start speculation. There's a potential it's on a corner, a perfect disposition site. Okay, I'll look for corner then. We'll have a look for corner. Let's have a little look for corner. Who can show me corner? You got corner? Yeah, okay, found it.
Well, I don't want to start speculation. There is a potential. It's on a corner. It's a perfect deposition site, and it's right next to a wall. That is a possibility, but I don't want to spark speculation on that. But she was not in...
All right, there you go, yeah. So I don't want to spark speculation, but it's on a corner, right near a wall, perfect disposition. It does sound like he's sparking speculation, doesn't it? And that's just one of many examples that they've been critiquing him on. I get it. Pigs and Noodles now says, notably the body that apparently wasn't in the river was recovered by a diver working under the surface of a safety line. On a safety line. Boston George now replying to Pigs in Noodles about not wanting to spark speculation. Somebody made a video on YouTube about this very thing. It was a long watch, about 80 minutes in fact, but it covers just how much speculation Faulding was guilty of and how he was basically the ringleader of the armchair detectives he purported to condemn. I think the guy's a sad, self-serving weasel with no shame whatsoever. His job was to search the river, and that's all. Instead, he spoke to the media daily, throwing out wild speculation, criticising the police in a really underhanded way, and sharing details of private conversations he was having with a grieving husband. The man is sick in the head. Boston George puts it in quite a forthright way there, don't they? Whims of Wimbledon says, in reply to Pigs and Noodles, this is a shame because it comes across as self-serving and not speculation that will benefit the grieving family in any way. So it's unnecessary. It's kind of a good point, isn't it? Speculating on whether that's a deposition site. Speculating about that on the tellis doesn't really help the grieving family, I suppose, does it? We're on to page 8. Emberline, there's a report on the DM, so not sure if it's total accuracy, that his organisation has been removed from the National Crime Agency. Somebody clips the Times. We know this happened, don't we? I don't know how much it impacts Peter's ability to work for and with the police or the government in his capacity as protest remover, sometimes river searcher, millions of pounds of turnover. I don't know how much it matters for his business and financial interests, but struck off from this list of experts. Maggie FS, hit posts too soon. Yes, I wouldn't trust the accuracy of the DM either, but can see the Times wouldn't bother printing it if not accurate. Good. My sugar baby love, now going in for short comments, just, I never liked him. Hope he never works again. Oh, and that his book is a flop. Sweet Sakura, pleased to see that. His behaviour was undoubtedly a significant factor in stirring up a social media frenzy of awful theories about what happened. There's the link to the Times thing for Oviraptor, Oviraptor. Came here to agree. It's not the failure to find Nicola that was necessarily the fault of his team, but his communications and actions seemed highly unprofessional to me. Professionalism, isn't it? It's all about professionalism. Professionalism. That's come up as well in the COP report, professionalism. And Peter used it as his defence as to why he can't show us that picture and why he too professional to show us that picture. And Peter also used that as his defence as to why he didn't tell anyone about his find, his supposed find. He didn't tell anyone about that, except the police, of course, because he's too professional to sort of blab about that in the media. Too professional. Super professional. We'll be seeing him on a random chuffing YouTuber's channel tomorrow. A YouTuber who thinks Andrew Tate is a good role model. Super professional. Super pro, wait a minute, cause I'm super pro. Weird. It's just fucking weird, this Nicola Bully stuff, isn't it? This Nicola Bully stuff. I think, like, we're going to carry on with this. There's the end of this page, there's a little bit more. But I think as well, I'd like to throw my little 2 cents in the ring a little bit. I think Peter Faulding, like, in the big players in this thing, you know, you've got some, like, it's almost, I'm not saying this like it's fake and it's, what's the word? Psyops. I'm not saying it's psyops. But I'm describing it a bit like a sort of a theatre production or something. You know, you've got all the worlds of stage and the men and women merely players. You know what I'm saying? Men and women merely players. So you've got these different sort of characters. You've got Paul Ansell, Nikki herself, the family, different members of. You've got Emma White, the police, and Peter Faulding is like this other character who came in like a bit later, like a little extra character, like a side character, like Gunther. Like, it's just like Friends and Gunther at the coffee shop. Peter Faulding's Gunther at the coffee shop, isn't he? Like the little extra one that has a few lines from time. Like, not one of the main cast, like main ones, but he's tried to really force himself up the bill. Like, it feels a bit like, doesn't it? But in my opinion, like, trying to find out the truth of Nicola and the truth for Nicola and the truth of what happened. He went up and down that river and said he couldn't find her, and now he says he can and all this. Well, like, the police went up and down the river as well. They said they couldn't find her, and then they did. So, yeah, well, like, I don't think it really helps me to find the truth of what happened to Nicola, because he didn't find fucking nothing the whole time, going around digging up sites that he thought might be deposition sites and all sorts. If he'd got a lot more to say, I hope he saved it all up for a really good book, because, like, he didn't fucking tell us, but he was always on the telly talking about it all the time. Yeah. I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's helping me get to the truth of Nicola, but this is one of these episodes that's a bit like this. Big ups. You alright? No, anyone who's going no-nights. You're not going no-nights, it's 7 o'clock, what are you off doing? Put down the ham sandwich and get back to watching the stream. I'm only joking, go wherever, enjoy it. Superfly, wait a minute, cause I'm superfly. I tell you what, I'm just saying it like it is. I'm just telling it like I see it. I ain't got a dog in the fight and iron in the fire. You know, just saying what I'm seeing. I know this is mainly the opinions of the people on. It's not like I agree with everything they say on Mumsnet. I'm not saying that. I'm reading out the Mumsnet thing. It's just sort of, I was going to do a video about Peter and the different interests and the, you know, because not many other people have done that on the YouTube thing, have they? They've sort of like jumped quite heavily on the bandwagon of Peter Faulding equals a saint. But, you know, there's some different angles to that, different facets to his story. And, you know, leaves some question marks, some big questions, doesn't it? And then I thought I was going to make a video out of it, and the video didn't get... What's going on with my chat? Come on. Boom. Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting eggy. Big ups Huskies. I'm having a great time. I'm anything but eggy. Yeah, so I thought that making a video... I was going to make a video about it and drop it today, but I couldn't be asked to finish the editing and all that, so I'm just here saying it. And then followed it up, like I said, with This is Mumsnet, and I thought this would be an episode reading through the Mumsnet opinions on Peter Faulding. So... here it is all together in one. Superfly, wait a minute, cause I'm superfly. I am enjoying myself. Yeah, Andy, thanks. It's probably because I haven't slept. Well, I have slept, but I slept like good at the right times and then got up at the. Although this morning, like going to bed at a normal time, I get up at like 3 in the morning and I'm like, right, I'm awake now. Might as well do stuff. Okay, might as well do stuff. God. 3 in the morning. I'm one of these chuffers who wakes up at 3. It's like I've gone so far my body clock. You know, like being a degenerate and staying up all night and sleeping all day and all that. Like if you do that enough, your body clock goes so far out the other way, you end up waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're like, wow, I'm up earlier than everyone else in the world. I can do an extra 10 press-ups. Anyway, look. Boston George has produced a short film. It's a montage of Peter Faulding fueling speculation. Don't mind if I fucking do, Boston George.
This is a story.
What? This is an advert. I'm going to get rid of these adverts one of these days. But for Christmas, I'm going to buy myself that fucking YouTube Prime, I promise. Do. Can't listen to the music. Can't have the music. So I'd like you to get on with the Peter Faulding bits, please, actually. Because I'm not having the music. Right, here we go.
Easy to speculate. There's a lot of stuff flying around about all sorts of things.
I've worked on cases where there was a shoe left on the river and it was left as a decoy. We don't know if this has been left by a third party or Nicola as a decoy to drag all the resources down to the river's edge. And I'd be looking at that very clearly, how it's got there in the first place.
None of this rings right to me. My belief is she's not in the river at all. I personally think this phone either could be a decoy.
If I'm honest, I don't think she fell in the water. That's just my opinion.
I'm convinced, Jeremy, she's not in the river. The river was less than 2 feet deep on the day. If Nicola had gone down that bank, she would have landed on rocks. She would have to have been pushed from behind extremely hard to launch herself into the deep water. And the police divers searched it thoroughly that day. And that's what convinces me that Nicola is not in the river. I believe that the phone and the harness is a decoy. And that's what I'm coming to now.
But at the end of the day, Nicola was last seen in the top field by the witness. You know, there's nothing to say she couldn't have been kidnapped and dragged and put in a car and taken away, and someone could have put a mobile phone by the river as a decoy. Or
it's 13 minutes, this video, so very good job there, Matthew, with the editing here.
This is a few years ago. We had a Laura Torn in Alston Ferry near Scunthorpe. We were called in to search the river for the police, and that was actually a big police operation. And there was a shoe found by the river, her stiletto shoe. She was buried miles away in a haystack. It was
very interesting. Matthew McNicholas just randomly found it off the, going to throw them a subscribe because thanks very much for letting me view a bit of this. The whole 13 minutes I'm not going to watch right now. So, but shouts out Matthew McNicholas and Peter Faulding. I don't want to speculate on YouTube, which I will grab and copy that, and I will throw it as I suppose I have to throw it in chat so you can see it. Don't go and watch that though. Stay here. Stay here while we finish off, and we'll watch that. We'll watch the rest of that at the end. Watch some more of that at the end. But stay here while we finish off the Mumsnet. The Mumsnet, because we are coming towards the end of our Super Mumsnet exploration. It's a wild ride down the streets of Mumsnet. The streets of Mumsnet. Don't tell him about that other case with the shoe. He'd have been out there. Someone's got their shoe off. I'm looking for a dead woman with no shoe. One shoe. Let me look at your foot to confirm that you're not dead. Anyway, look. Bubblehead 321132. It's widely rumoured and reported that the reason he's been removed is it's come to light, despite his previous claims, this guy has no forensic qualifications whatsoever, apart from a basic half-day forensic awareness course given to special constables, nor any qualifications in most of what he proclaims, especially crime matters. Now, I did say earlier, I don't think Peter Faulding's got the same forensic credentials as a police investigator. I'm not sure that, because I think you have to go to proper college for that and stuff, don't you? And maybe if you want to be a criminologist or, get a degree in certain aspects. I don't think he's done that. I don't think. I might be wrong. I don't know what degrees he has and hasn't done. I might be wrong. But this is quite pointed, and I've got to be careful about the slander and libel here because I'm representing this by reading it out in a way. It's an opinion that he has no forensic qualifications whatsoever, and not an opinion I know much about. So Bubblehead said that. Nor any qualifications in most of what he proclaims, especially crime matters. He's managed over the years to involve himself in cases where no one has really done due diligence. It seems he's an absolute opportunist who's been caught out. Senior police have made the correct decision in my view. He should never be allowed to be anywhere near a crime scene again. Accountability is the word I would use. It's not just about the failed search. It was his constant TV expert interviews, speculations, theories, claims. This is about the apparent credibility, apparent expertise and actions of one individual. I believe this speaks volumes about how senior police view this all. So this is about how Peter's been struck off the list. Like, he must have known at this point, the CIP report coming up and stuff, the investigation coming up. He must have thought, I'm being thrown under the bus. He did say in the interview though, didn't he? He said, like, I'm not going to be the fall guy. I'm not going to be the fall guy. Well, it looks like you're going to be the fall guy here, Peter, because they're all saying how bad you've done and what bad things you've done and how unprofessional it was, all the police and that. And hand on heart, Jason, hand on heart, I'm not going to be the fall guy. Well, it looks like you are, Peter. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare an interview, get it sorted with this YouTuber so I can drop that on YouTube, have all the editorial control myself, basically control over it, make sure I can say what I want in the way I want to say it, control that narrative on social media. That's what the CIP was all about. The police can't control the narrative on social media. They've lost control of that. Well, we'll see who can control the narrative on social media. Feels like someone's controlling the narrative on social media, doesn't it? Especially after senior police and others seem to be throwing him under the bus. So, Sweet Sakura. The media also have a lot to answer for in giving him so much airtime. In response here to, it's not the failure to find Nicky that was necessarily the fault of his team, but his communications and actions seem highly unprofessional. That's exactly why he should have kept his mouth shut. Without knowing the full picture or conducting the whole search, he entitled himself to speak like he knew without considering what impact it'd give apart from his expert image. Spoke way too much and way too confidently. Still fully fucking giving him the shit, aren't they? Return to the basic.
It's raining again. I couldn't be happier.
Swish and then whoosh.
Helen sent tippies. Big ups, Scott.
I see you, Nancy.
Read That's Life. Watch the 70s EPS on Daily Motion, see how much happier the public were on the Vox Pops. It's quite something to behold. Super Chuffer owes 3 hugs.
We will have to do that. That's Life would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great old school reaction content. I was saying it earlier, it's a bit like when I was reading the things on That's Life. Big ups, Nancy. Thank you very much for the £10 as well on the old super chat there. Big ups, Nancy. I got a Nancy. Big ups, Nancy. Nancy's a nice name. We like Nancy as a tippy name as well. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you. I've got to watch That's Life. We're backed up on Neighbours. We're supposed to be watching Neighbours on Super Chuff View, and I haven't got round to a bit of that recently. To be honest, I've had quite serious head in the old serious business with the Nicola Bully stuff. Been quite focused in on some quite. How am I going to approach this? How am I going to say this? What am I going to think about this? How to express what to say? And I think this has been a real cathartic way of doing it. Just having a bit of a laugh, reading these other opinions, which are quite harsh, a lot harsher than I was going to be. And having brought up some interesting stuff at the start that I think, make up your own mind about it, have a look into it, see what you think, And then after that, I'll have a look through some more clips and bits and pieces, and I'll put together my video called Peter Faulding, or it's called St. Peter. And then St. Peter ? Maybe, but St. Peter, and let you decide, St. Peter. Serious head scratcher, JJ Kane, big ups. I haven't finished the COP report, so I'm reserving judgment till I finish the COP report as well. I'm not saying that I 100% on this or that, but an interesting comment that I saw from someone was that if I was lost, I'd certainly want Peter looking for me, And I thought to myself, no, if I was lost, I'd want the police force to be looking for me and to be funded as well as Peter is, to have the same kit as Peter has, and all that. Like, if he's got better kit than the police, I think that's bad. Get the police in, get that in the hands of the police. Get them, fund them to do really good searches. Not private. I wouldn't want it to be left to a private company, like, in case he's busy or on a different job, or like we haven't got the money for it or something. Like, I'd rather just the police did it. I don't know. Let's not get political. Yes, it's fucking political. Everything's political. Yeah, Snowden and Andrew Snowden and him and Peter Faulding and drones and searches and like money and yeah, political. Absolutely. But also, I just want to shout out a few other content creators on YouTube to send some positivity their way. Draw them into a spat on YouTube. Political. Andrew Tate didn't get where he was to be top G without a little bit of political throwing people under the bus, did he? Got to make those women respect you somehow. That's exactly why he should have kept his mouth shut. Without knowing the full picture or conducting the whole search, he entitled himself to speak like he knew without considering what impact it'd give apart from his expert image. Spoke way too much and way too confidently. Funnily, there were so many people, Mumsnet absolutely worshipped him. Believe if he said Nicola Bulley wasn't in the river, then she's not. And the whole frenzy was just a shamble and a shameful circus, says Return to Basic. We're now on the 26th, by the way, moving on in days. Return to Basic, we're absolutely worshipping him, believed, got a bit emotional, leading to full collapse of basic grammar. Emberline says, I feel sorry for his team, actually. Well, I don't know enough about his team. Colette, you're not allowed to smoke in the maternity ward anymore. I'm going to have to get one of those vaporizers. Pickle Me Walnut says, it's pretty shocking. I was aghast at what he was saying, but wasn't watching the news, so I thought perhaps I'd misunderstood what's going on. Boar of Babylon, on Amazon you can read the first couple of chapters of his book. If you hadn't realised it before, it makes clear that he has absolutely no relevant qualifications in anything. He is, however, a world-class bullshitter. The opinions of Boar of Babylon, the qualifications thing apparently is in his book. I don't... Boar of Babylon seems to have read it. Not me. And I'm not repping that on my... I'm contradicting that on my show and saying, hey, Boar of Babylon, you're my guest, and I'm just making sure that your opinion is counted with. It may not be exactly the full shilling. Like, you're allowed to have conversation, but I have to rein you in there, otherwise I might get in trouble for, libel or slander. So read the book yourself and make up your own mind, but don't fucking buy it. Because that's what he wants, isn't it? That's the whole fucking exercise, is fucking buy the book. If you all end up buying the book based on the fact that you all think he's so good because he's found this or not found her or whatever, he can go around chuffing while throwing people in the river and writing more books, can't he? And then all of a sudden you'll all be thrown in the river and you'll all be happy with it, buying your books. I don't know where this ends. I'm not suggesting Peter throws people in the river to sell books. It's a joke. Everything's a joke to you. Everything's a joke to you. What, like that thing on your eye? Shut up, you. Did you pick your eye? Don't even... Yeah. Looks like you're supposed to put a cigarette out, burn on your head. No. Looks like you're supposed to dib a cigarette out on your head. I fucking picked my spot, right? What, have you never picked a spot, though? You stupid to do that. You stupid. You shouldn't pick a spot. What, have you never picked a spot? What, me? Relatable? Nah. Relatable? In that football shirt? What? That football shirt? Relatable? Legia Warszawa? No one... Legia Warszawa? What are you on about? Legia Warszawa? Like, relatable. So when I go on holidays, sometimes I get a football shirt from where I'm at on the holidays. You went on holiday to Warsaw. The fuck's wrong with you? You're not relatable enough with your thing on your head. Which one are you again? Which one are you again? You look like a mole. Looks like a mole. Look. Sat there having a good pick while I was watching the telly. I didn't think about it. Just good scratch and a pick. We all make mistakes, you know. Some of us got Mumsnet accounts. Boston George, who made that cool video. I guess this is the problem with everything is outsourced. I guess this is the problem when everything is outsourced. It creates characters like this guy, Peter, an independent contractor who seems to believe he is some kind of superhero with the power to detect human remains. He is essentially, this is great, this. Listen to this, you're going to fucking love this. This is going to make you shit. He is essentially one of those armchair detectives, but with the money and resources to actually act on his impulses to get involved in the depressing world of locating corpses. Could you imagine? Oh, big ups Magda. Oh, you like Legia Warszawa? See, someone's appreciating it. It is relatable. It is relatable. Koloveski. Legia Warszawa. It is relatable. They played Aston Villa recently, and I'm a Birmingham fan, so it's like, get me Legia Warszawa out and run down and throw a thing. So I got clighted on the head. I made that up. I didn't go to the riot in Birmingham. I just wore the T-shirt in support of the riot in Birmingham. Mumsnet's out of control, isn't it? This is funny though, like, he's essentially one of those armchair detectives, but with the money and resources to act on his impulses in the depressing world of locating corpses. Could you imagine if Alan, oh, don't talk about him on this channel, but could you imagine if other armchair detectives who are a bit sick in the fucking head had the money and resources to go out and fucking do stuff? Thank God they're not on this wonderful platform anymore, YouTube. Wonderful YouTube. Big ups YouTube. Thanks for allowing us all to have these intelligent, modern, grown-up, sometimes comedic and humorous, but, you know, with a pinch of salt, a cheeky pinch of the cheek, whatever it is. Like, don't get too het up about it. It's entertainment after all. We're looking into, we're thinking about, we're juggling with some ideas. And if you don't like the ideas, then just fucking put them down and leave it. Calm the fuck down. Start getting so eggy. Armchair detectives, but with the money and resources to actually act on his impulses to get involved in the depressing world of locating corpses. I understand he's done some good work, and I wouldn't ever detract from that, but his ego is completely out of control, and his opinion of himself so high he couldn't comprehend why the police weren't telling him anything. He really has this, do they not know how important I am, attitude about him. I know it's been said before, but the way he went accepting every media request proved he couldn't be trusted with any information, nor should he be. He's an independent contractor, and I'm sick of these people thinking they're on the same level or even more important than the police themselves. Just because you're volunteering free of charge, it doesn't grant you high status. I have a second video in the pipeline. Big ups Mean Green, YouTube hates you. Sorry to hear that. It's just a big faceless company with like robots running it, really. No, they're not. There's real nice people running it in places as well. Bit of both, depending on what you need it for. Like, obviously, if you need customer support, you're going to go to a robot, but eventually you can get help with stuff. YouTube's alright. Look, they don't like Alan again. I forgot the name wrong then. Peter. Because they said armchair detectives. Sorry, look, enough of that. Zip that. Zip that. Never again. We don't mention him on this channel. Never again. And seriously, I'm not into like all that. Like, we can have the fucking comedy lolcow stuff on its own channel where we can laugh about it and just have fun. Over here, there's a relative air of seriousness, and I will not get on Super Chuffer. I am not getting dragged into political bun fights with other stupid tubers. No thanks. We can do that on Battery Exhausted if you want. But the people over here don't want to see it, don't want to hear about it, don't want to know. So let's carry on with being a bit more grown up than that. Right. He's an independent contractor, and I'm sick of these people thinking they're on the same level or even more important than the police themselves. Just because you're volunteering free of charge, it doesn't grant you higher status. I've got a second video in the pipeline, and it's going to be called I Don't Want to Criticise the Police, followed by a montage of the dozens of occasions he criticised the police. I know the subject of Nicola's death isn't remotely funny, but watching this guy, this walking caricature of a man, parade himself all over TV and radio, contradicting himself time and again, without realising how much egg was spattering all over his face, was somewhat laughable. And actually, I see this as well. Like, do you think in some ways, old PF, old Pete Faulding, seems like a bit of a cliche? Now, I don't know what his extensive military background is, but if you look into it, I don't know what his extensive military background is. Training with some regiment, I understand. I don't know what his extensive military background actually is, but you know how there's some people who like really want to be this and want to be that. Like sometimes they call it all the gear and no idea, but like Peter Faulding doesn't actually work. He's not actually the police, is he? But he's like a private company that the police bring in to do protester removal, and like he does these things on the news, and then sometimes he's got the really bad grammar about what I done. A play what I wrote, you know, sometimes he does that grammar. Like he's not really that, in some ways, the caricature that he paints himself out to be. And I think the caricature is a little bit cheesy in itself as well, isn't it? Like, here's me hatching a duck out of an egg. Peter Faulding has now given an interview on YouTube where he makes new claims. That's pretty up to date. Rafe, the King of Clay, says, Grifter's got a grift. I don't suppose he's considered Nicola's family before doing that. Grifter's got to grift. I don't suppose he's considered Nicola's family before doing that. I mean, grifter. But I'm just going to check because I call Alan a grifter. You know, I call Darkside Phil a grifter. The lolcows predominantly, they're grifters. You know, a lot of them are. I'd go so far as to say, you know, Cash for Questions is a grifter, even though he binned it off. Like, it's all in his mind. Small scale swindling, Peter Faulding. Again, I'm going to have to call that one out and say I don't think I can legitimately, for fear of legal action, and also because I don't think we can legitimately say Peter's a grifter. Like, he has actually got a book to sell, which is not quite a swindle. You actually get the book if you want it. Right? But yeah, grifter's got a grift. I don't suppose he's considered Nicola's family before doing that. I can't imagine being her family and having to deal with this being all over social media all over again for no good reason. Three Ring Circus says he is sick. He just cannot help inflating his ego even further, despite the fact it will be painful for Nicola's family. What a prick. My Sugar Baby Love, who, remember, is my favourite one. Gone down in my estimation over the Piers Morgan thing, but still can pull this around if she wants. I'm assuming it's a she. Could be a they or a he or anyone. My Sugar Baby Love. We'll see. I think, at least this time, he doesn't have the admiration of the public and the hangers-on that he had before. He took a very high fall from grace, and now most people think he's the twat he is. I always thought he was a self-serving arsehole, but people on here jumped to his defence. But now I think he could possibly face a massive backlash. We can but hope. Sweet Sakura says, I can't imagine many people are stupid enough to give him airtime now. Well, if you're looking for someone that's Witted says, what's he claiming? And here's, you know, linking the interview, the infamous interview, which I've yet to get to in my timeline of events as I'm working through them. So look out for my Nicola Bullion, you know, actual serious College of Policing report content coming up probably in the new, you know. In the inquiry, he claimed that he pinpointed Nicola's body within 10 minutes and wanted the identified spot investigated more carefully directly. The police didn't agree and didn't do whatever direct investigation he wanted. He has since analysed the footage he took and is now absolutely sure it was Nicola. And if they'd looked, they'd have found her the same morning. I actually think Peter said that they did look and then told him that it wasn't her. Return to Basic says, he's hoping people would forget how convinced he was when speaking in interviews that Nicola can't be in the river because he, an expert, didn't find her body and thus drove all sorts of speculation and wild searches by YouTubers in the area. And that is the last word on the thread. He's hoping people would forget how convinced he was when speaking in interviews that Nicola can't be in the river because he, an expert, didn't find her body and thus drove all sorts of speculation and wild searches by YouTubers in the area. Return to Basic. No one seems to want to fill in any further on that. They've had their say now. They've got it all out of their system. Mumsnet. Wow. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow I'll be on Twitch watching. I mean, I've got to watch that interview, haven't I? You know, I've got to pay attention to it. I feel like I should record it because sometimes Luke deletes the live stream. Like that one where he said he talked to Alan, he deleted that one. That's gone. So, unless some of us, maybe one of our crew's got a recording of it and a clip of it. But yeah, like, you know, tomorrow is another day. There's always another day, isn't there? And I feel like I'm halfway through the COP report. I feel like my pace is not... I could pick up the alacrity, but then I've got to feel it. I've got to feel it. I can't just come on and just do a stream if I'm feeling a bit down or a bit meh. You know, I've got to give it proper thought. Can't just be all rough around the edges for the COP report. And then after I've done the COP report, it's Peter's response. Because, of course, the COP report throws him under the bus. And Peter responds to it, doesn't he? So we're up to the new senior investigating officer bit. That's what we're going to be talking about next. And then following that, we've got Peter's response. He made a printed response, a PDF, and then he also did the interview, didn't he? So we'll be following that, and we'll also be looking at more of Peter's interview. So let's finish off tonight with some of this. I don't want to speculate.
It's a pure decoy laid by the killer.
Well, if Nicola's not in the river, then something else is happening somewhere. But
because in this one, this was day. I think this was. Let me get this right in my brain. I think this is day 2, but he hasn't started the search yet. So it's the day he's about to find her, sort of thing. He says, you know, later on that he found her on this, like because Peter turned up in the morning and then briefed the press and then did his day's work and then briefed the press. So there's like quite a lot of.
I can't. Someone said to me today, there's a witness drowning and there's a person, they've gone in this river section. I'd find them within the hour, no problem at all. But we're dealing with the unknown here, so we're looking for something that may not be here.
I said that if Nicola's here, I'll find her. If Nicola was in that river, I would have found her. I can guarantee you that. She wouldn't have. We would have found her, and she's not there in that section of the river up there.
To actually get into the river, you would have to be pushed very hard or knocked out and shoved in the river. And from a Strava data, the family said, Heather and the family said, she does not ever go near that river. She's really cautious. She takes the same route every morning. Every morning, total creature of habit here. And this is what doesn't stack up. None of this stacks up at all.
She would have to be pushed from behind and launched into the river to actually miss the rocks. You know, I've already been very blunt with Paul, and I've spent a lot of time with...
I didn't know he said that. I had no idea he said launched. Fucking hell. Launched. Big up Sue. I don't watch Mind Juice. Like, again, I don't want to talk about other channels in this channel anymore. I like what by talking about other channels, I mean I like what Vic and Rechat said. Just fuck it, I'm not talking about them. No, like, it's easier just to not, but like, I don't watch Mind Juice, let's just say that. Fuck them. Like, just no thanks for me. And also, I don't want to watch loads of other people because it would make my opinions on this tainted by theirs, wouldn't it? I'd rather just have my opinions and say what I think and like not get them from other not get them from other viewpoints on YouTube. So yeah, I just, and I'm not a big fan anyway. So there's like, it gets me in trouble whenever I say I'm not a fan of something. I'm allowed to have my different, like, what's the word? You know, things I like and things I don't like on YouTube, and they're not one of them. So that's my opinion on that. But yeah, no worries. Thanks for suggesting it in chat. I don't watch lots of other true crimes. I don't want to watch a lot of other true crimes. I want to have my opinions on this be my opinions. There are a few really good people on Twitter, and there's a really good one called Mickey, who writes a blog that I would suggest to people. Have I got that on one of my windows somewhere? I'll get Mickey's blog for you. Oh no, not off these windows, I won't though. Yeah, another time, like, you know, shouts out Mickey's blog, like, look up Mickey Nicola Bully blog, like, look up that yourself and you'll find it. I'm just trying to see if I've got it in one of my windows, but unfortunately I haven't for some reason. I thought I did. Yeah, anyway, let's push on.
Paul and Emma, and just said to them, we've got to potentially be prepared for the worst here. Let's not, like you say on your show, that we're too woke on a lot of things now. We've just got to say it as it is. And I've said to them, we could be looking for a body.
Shit.
We could be...
Oh shit! I didn't realise Peter Faulding was against the fucking GB News too woke. We're too woke about things. We've got to say it as, oh shit. I didn't know it was that political. Honestly, I didn't know this. I hadn't watched this. This has just come up through the Mumsnet thing. Fucking hell, Peter. I see why you're big friends with you know, that other YouTuber. I don't want to be on all the names and drawn into their politics. Oh, he said, she said. Fucking, I was being nice and now they're a troll. Oh. Just fucking grow up.
looking for a deposition site here. She could have been kidnapped. She could have been being held at a will. I was with Paul, the partner, and he's pleading with them to actually search in...
These people belong on fucking Rumble with all the others.
The surrounding buildings. The surrounding area, like I said, should have been beaten down, searched every nook and cranny, every drain, not just focus on the river. It's crazy that we're just saying she's in the river. I may be wrong. She may end up at sea. But for all my experience, this would be the first where...
Tell you what, saying about trusting people in chat, right? I don't trust someone who's a proven liar. How about that? I don't trust someone who's a proven liar. Peter has told me that he's lied to me for my own benefit. In those press releases and stuff, definitely not in the river, definitely not in the river. I had suspicions, saw the thing on sonar, pretty sure she was, told the police, definitely not, definitely not, definitely not. Towing the party line for everyone's benefit, good kind of lie, the white lie that's a good kind of lie, but, you know, I don't like a proven liar. And then the other one, the channel that he's using, you know, said, I have not, said out loud in a live stream, I gave Alan Vinnicum permission to use my content. I spoke to him on the phone. And then wrote in the community post, I've never spoken to the man at all. So you can't have both. One of them's a lie. I don't like people who just talk shit. Two-faced, lying. That's what I don't like. So, yeah, fuck that.
I'm actually wrong. If I can't find them, it means they're not there. That's how confident I am. People who often...
I mean, maybe it can be explained to me why it wasn't lying when you definitely thought that Nicola Bully was definitely there and didn't talk about it. And, like, the other one is that, like, maybe you just held up, like, you didn't know that at the time. You had to check your scanner more and really come to terms with it. Okay. So, but then not to talk about it publicly as soon as you had that. It's like the boy who cried wolf, you know, if you don't say it publicly and just nail it out there, this is what I think is the truth, hang on, this might come back to bite me otherwise. It now feels like it's coming back to bite you, and you can't have your cake and eat it and say, I always thought she was definitely always there, but equally, I never said she was there ever. But I did say sort of a little bit she might have been there, and then the police checked and they said she wasn't there, and then, what?
Abducted and murdered.
I don't want to get done for slander or libel for saying Peter Faulding's a liar. I don't think I'm making that statement that clearly, but I think it's very strange that he can say in one breath the one thing and in another breath the other. Maybe you're allowed to change your mind. Maybe it's that. again, I think experts in the field of search and all this stuff like the changeable mind. We've just heard a lot of it on Mumsnet. It does worry me a bit, doesn't it? Again, I'd want him searching for me if I was lost. Would you? Because he might not find you, and then later on he might say he definitely found you, but he didn't.
They generally don't go that far. They generally don't go that far from the area, or they're taken that far from the area. I'm looking now at online, on the Ordnance Survey maps that we carry on possible deposition sites. I mean, she is not in that river. That's my view. On this particular job, looking at this, I'll be looking at possible deposition sites and looking at ground sign rather than just running a radar. When you're looking in woods and things like that, you're looking at potential disturbed ground, and that's what I've got a keen eye for. So you've got to know what you're looking for to actually find, buried things. And we even extended our search upriver, extended the parameters just in case Nicola had wandered off and fallen in. So now I'm changing, has Nicola wandered off somewhere else? I mean, Nicola could have wandered off. She could have literally fallen asleep somewhere. She could have just taken herself off and wandered off into the woods. Hopefully, Nicola's just wandered off. She's gone somewhere. She's had enough. Nicola could have wandered along the footpath. There's no CCTV, gone out onto the road. She would not have been seen. We would have searched. If somebody intends to take their own life, and I deal with a number of suicides each year for the police, they tend to...
I think he told the police he thought he'd found her. Well, he thought he'd found a target, and the police did, big ups Bridget, the police checked. At that point, I do not know why he didn't hover over the police and have a look. He said that he left the area because he didn't want to draw attention to it, because the press and the media. But it's a bit silly. I think the truth was he was busy getting shots, like while he was busy going up and down the river, not drawing attention to it. They had the drone flying over, filming him. Like, we've got the footage, it's out there. Like, that day, the drone was flying over, filming him. So maybe he was just a bit busy having his photo taken. And then the other question is, like, why would you not be, if you think they're about to pull her out of the river and you're their search and rescue expert and you think that's the site and the police are going to dive it, do you not just want to be on hand, just nearby, just in case, so you can get in on the photo or even help in any way if it turns out to be correct and they need a little bit of help because that's what you're there for? Seems fucking weird that you just fuck off while that's happening. And if that is the case, and you're so professional you can't tell anyone after that, why not? He's told everyone, listen, he's told everyone all this other stuff. Like, I think if he found a plastic bag in the river, he'd come out and say, I found this plastic bag and it turned out it was from Tesco Metro, not Marks and Spencer's, and Nicola used to like shopping at like Sainsbury's, so this plastic bag has been ruled out. I think he'd have talked about anything. I don't know why he needed to protect anyone or anything by not saying, today I found something that looked like it could be quite an interesting hit on the thing. The police dived it and it was nothing. Like, why couldn't he have just said that? How does that spoil anything for the police? How is that, like, he's talking every day anyway. Like, why has he got to keep tight-lipped about whether the police dived it and it was nothing? They said it was nothing. Why can't he just say it was nothing? Like, if it's nothing, you can just say it's nothing. He didn't have to keep tight-lipped. It's very, very convenient for Peter, isn't it? That if you just trust him and believe him, then everything's great and perfect in Peter world. But you have to trust him and believe him for it to be great and perfect in Peter world, the way he said it. And you have to trust and believe. The problem with that is that for the last few weeks, you've been trusting and believing him, and he's been lying to us in some way or holding the truth back in some way until it's convenient or appropriate in his mind for the most professional time to release it on the most unprofessional platform with the most unprofessional person he can find. Ridiculous. Don't ask me to fucking... Ridiculous. He was asked to go and search further upstream. I don't know. Look, come on. Let's all live in the real world here. Like, ridiculous, this. It's getting on for ridiculous now. And he's painted himself into a corner where either he shows the damn photos, pics or... If you live on the internet, you might have heard the phrase pics or it didn't happen. Pics or get the fuck out. It means show me a photograph to prove you are not lying, because this is the internet and people say all sorts of shit. So it's a bit weird to me that he won't, when his reputation is at stake, just show the damn pictures. But if he does now, he's painted himself into a corner because he has to have the approval of Dorothy and Ernie and the daughters and the sister and the damn cousins and Emma and like the whole family and Paul need to agree that you can show those pictures publicly to clear your name and to prove that you are in some, like, why are we on this? Like, fucking hell, Peter, how are we on this? Well professional of you to get down this fucking path and fuck it up this bad. Like, how are we on this? It don't seem right to me. He's got the book out, so if you really like him, buy the book. Or Great Britain News, not my friends. Great Britain News, GBN. Right-wing propaganda arm of the Tory party. Might as well be called Tory Party News. Honest Gov, it's news, honest. Like, propaganda arm of the right wing. Just ridiculous. Like, his politics are rubbish. He's allied himself with people whose politics are rubbish, and he's in the self-promoting fame game for certain. He was on this before he was called in. He was on the news talking about Nicola Bulley doing speculations before he was even called in. So something's never changed. Is Peter will do the fucking news. Like, he's found time to do every damn news thing possible. Come on.
Jump in and they may swim and float down a while before they manage to drown themselves. It's very grim. And we look for things like whiskey bottles, because most people have a drop of whiskey, they have some pills, and they go with it, and they tend to drift down.
I didn't know he was this bad. Sorry, you got me on the old soapbox right at the end there. Cheeky. You can be blocked. If one of the mods wakes up, you will be. Oosh. Feels like my computer's going a bit slow. Maybe I'm being DDoS attacked by the fucking, maybe I'm being hacked while I'm streaming.
That's the possibility then. She could have been taken over the weir.
She just could have wandered off. It would be in a dazed state of mind, Nick. She could have been swam over the weir, because when people try and drown themselves, they float for a while, which means she could have drifted down and gone over the weir and then disappeared out to sea. I'm absolutely certain she is not in the river around by the bench or where the police divers searched as well and upriver. If she has gone, she's gone miles downstream by now. I personally think a lot of land searching needs to be done. It needs a new search strategy here, because the chance of finding her in the river now is pretty remote. If I'm honest, Nick, is so long now.
She could have literally just walked off down the river, jumped in somewhere else. She could be in a wood somewhere.
If she had jumped in or intended to take her own life or walked off or wherever she is, that would change my whole plan. She could have ended up in the sea.
Potentially she could have wandered off down the bank, either just wandered off somewhere else with somebody on her own into the woods surrounding land.
Peter, you did say to us on the programme last week, I don't think she's here.
It's good, this one, isn't it? Oh no.
Don't start speculation. There is a potential. It's on a corner. It's a perfect deposition site, and it's right next to a wall. That is a possibility, but I don't want to spark speculation on that.
Remembering you told me that you didn't think the woman was in the river, of course.
You're right, Dover.
Absolutely. I didn't. I did think she was in. I said she may be in the river. She may not be.
Would you do exactly the same again? You'd not change your approach or your tactics in any way, shape, or form from what's happened on the River Wire?
Well, I never got all the information about Nicola's.
Big ups. Susie, you think he did the best he could, fair enough. What's your opinion on Huntington Life Sciences? What's your opinion on starting a business that specialises in protest removal, working closely with the Home Office? Is that good too? It's a way to earn, isn't it? It's a way to earn. But do you know Huntington Life Sciences? Have you heard of Huntington Life Sciences? No, Colette, I didn't mean you. I meant somebody else who is now blocked, so don't worry about it. Huntington Life Sciences are the worst of the worst. I'm not going to show you any pictures. Google it yourself. Decide if you turned up in your van, would you be dragging the protesters away? I'm not saying he drags them away, but, literally some of those have had to be removed from, trees and camps and, pulled out and stuff. So I think it's a bit, whatever we want to think about the Nicola Bulley stuff, looking at Pete, like the problem with it is that if you just live in a world where someone turns up on the tellis and now they're on the tellis in their big high-vis jacket and they've done it for free and they're a wonderful man and saint, and you don't look any deeper into their story or history or how they've got to be where they are, and they've written a book and they tell you what they are and who they are, and in the book it's all lovely and they're lovely, then it might make you think maybe you should look a bit wider and, like, you know, maybe you should question things a little more, maybe, you know, maybe just think maybe about it and have a little think. So I'm not saying that you haven't thought, but for some reason it seems like some people seem, not specifically you, but some people seem to have just stopped at the idea that Peter equals good without thoroughly doing the investigation onto what they think of him and his character and the way he's behaved. I've done a little bit more looking, and from what I can see, not someone that I'd want to be friendly with, really me. Not at all, really. Not that anti-woke stuff. Not that, you know, choice of friends that he's got. Not the choice of work. Yeah, not a big friend of mine in terms of ethics and compatibility, really, for me. So each to their own. You're not blocked, Susie Jew. No, that wasn't you that I was talking about. You don't get blocked for not agreeing with me here. That wasn't you that I was talking about. There was a troll in the chat. They got blocked. You're not being a troll. We're having a chat, so it's all good. But I wouldn't get worried about that. The thing I'd like, for me, I'd like, because when you're trying to judge character, somebody standing on the stage and telling you who they are and how good they are, and going on the telly and, you know, wearing the big coat and having all the kit, and it's £50,000 and I'm doing it for free. That's one thing. But another thing is this other stuff. So, like, I don't know, like, what do you think about Huntington Life Sciences? Do you know what they are? Like, I'm not being unfair here. He's got it on his website. Like, it seems like a strange choice, but he's got it on his website. Huntington Life Sciences. So, and not because he was a protester, but because he specialised in removing them. Do you know what? Like, no, I'm not getting an answer on this Huntington Life Sciences bit. You do know what they are. Okay, you do know what they are. So, like, if we start, you know, at something like that, and that's to his account. This is his account. It's how he got started in this thing. Is he used to like going down caves. His dad used to take him caving, and then he decided that after a dabbling in the military, a little here, you know, a bit of a thing there, he decided that he was going to work in removing protesters, and they said his business wasn't going to work. They said he couldn't do it. After starting out with a small loan of £1,500, he's turned it into £1 million, £2 million, 1.9 million turnover, and it's now incorporating search and rescue and other things. But initially, you know, this is where the big name was made. It was Swampy, it was Eco Warriors, it was Huntington Life Sciences and associated places that have been protected. I say protected, I mean, what are you saying? The climate camp protests have been taken down and dismantled and the people have been removed. We're protecting the interests of the government, the state, the Huntington Life Sciences camp, and we're taking money for it. And that's my job. I'm going to turn up and I'm going to do that. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm not. Peter does. So, different people. I'm not like him. He's not like me. I'm glad that I'm not like this. And I wouldn't go for a job here. Me. No thanks. And, you know, he's going to say, like, you build rapport with people and you can convince them to, you know, move off the picket line and just come away. You know, whatever, however you do it, you know, whatever your techniques are. No thanks. I'd rather be the one protesting against that than the one removing the people from it for money. So, different people. Yeah, it's the worst horror in the world, Huntington Life Sciences. It's the worst horror. Like, the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Simply the worst horror. Like, and I know that, like, you know, oh, yeah, but what about the war and the you know, I wasn't. And then human beings are human beings, and like animals are animals. I don't know. It's just, like, it seems like pretty fucking horrible to me. So we're good. Yeah, you didn't see the troll. They got blocked quite quick. Don't worry. Don't worry. Chat's good. You're all good. And if you listen, if you really like it as well, if you like him, like if you think he's good, that's fine as well. I don't care. I'm not going to be like, go away, don't come back here. Like, enjoy what you want. Watch all the other channels. I don't watch the other true crime channels. I watched Jim Can't Swim, Red Tree Crime. Now I watch Scarcity Studios, and there's another British young lad that's been doing. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. You know, I watch reports and stuff like that. I don't watch the true crime, you know, the crime and all that rubbish. I just don't, I'm not into it. But if you want to watch all that stuff, I understand there's a lot of overlap between me and some of these other channels. Fine, I don't care. I'm not angry. Like, if you want to watch Coronation Street and I don't like Coronation Street, just watch it and I'm not going to be cross. Like, it just doesn't matter. It's just a thing that you watch. It's just fine. Like, I just don't care. Like, it does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it? 411. Everyone's been gaslit by one person. Everyone's trying to cover their asses. I related it the way I feel like it is at the moment. I was saying this in my my COP report. It's got political. It was about looking for Nicola. Now it is. There's a small blanket and there's like 4 people, and politically and personally, we're all pulling at that blanket. And some of us are going to end up naked. So I want the blanket. It's like musical chairs, but there's only 3 chairs and there's 4 people in the room, you know? And like the music's going to stop and they're all going to sit down and no one wants to be left with their fucking stood up on their ass, you know? So Peter's felt that. He's felt that ripple come towards him. I'm not going to be the fall guy. He said himself, we saw it today in the media, I'm not going to be the fall guy. So who's going to be the fall guy? Well, fuck you, Lancashire Police are then. Like, and you know what? Yes, Big Chris, proper lighter at last. I did treat myself in the Christmas shopping to a decent one. It's probably the world's worst investment, so I'll like leave it at the bus stop or something. But do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like, yeah, there's this political bun fight going on, this grabbing for the blanket, and it feels a bit grimy because like it's not helping to find Nicola, not at all. And like, you know, whatever goes on tomorrow with super chats for questions, or I'm not doing super chats for questions now. I don't know why you didn't just do top 50 questions, community post, top 50 questions. You vote them on the community post. You write them. Check you haven't repeating a question. Doesn't matter anyway. The upvoted ones are the top ones. We'll ask them. This is simple. Like, I don't know why we can't have simple things. Like, but yeah, going over there and doing that now, that it's just got a bit grimy. And Peter Faulding is in damage reputation limitation mode, so he's going to do what he needs to do on YouTube. Nonetheless, I've said it a million times now. It's like the least professional thing he can be doing at this point. Like, there's a million more professional ways of doing what he's doing, but he's doing the least professional thing he can possibly do after screaming and wailing about professionalism all the way. It's fucking weird, isn't it? It's just weird. So, welcome to the weird world of YouTube drama. I comment about it, I talk about it, but I will not be it. And we are going to continue with our work on the Nicola Bulley case in more seriousness with the COP report. You know, I'll take it more seriously on that. You know, and I'll call things out as I see them. But if you want me to go deep on other people reacting to their content and stuff, like that goes on Super Chuff. Sorry, Battery Exhausted. Over here we do body language react, psychological conversations, sometimes a bit of fun, but you know, that sort of stuff. I've decided to give them their own channels, and Super Chuffer for You is where you will see me reacting to Old Neighbours episodes, and now on the list is also That's Life, so we can have a lot of fun doing a lot of fun things. Sound good? Sound good. Right, I need to go and like be tired somewhere else. You need to prepare yourself for tomorrow. Like, tomorrow it's all going to kick off now, isn't it? Oh no, Super Chuffer said something on the internet. Super Chuffer watched some videos on the internet and said some things, and then Super Chuffer, like in Chuffertown, read out some Mumsnet. Oh my god! But you know, some people are going to get eggy. Oh, it's on Thursday, is it not? Right, if it's not on tomorrow, then I need my head read. I had one more day to work on my edit, and I didn't have to do this whatsoever. How about that? That's what not sleeping when you need to sleep and getting up when it's 3 a.m. does to you. If that's the case, tomorrow I'll be on the internet doing Nutter Watch then, because that's what we all need, a nice bit of Nutter Watch. We've got a little bit of a few nutters that are building up, so not tomorrow. All right, tomorrow, not tomorrow. Well, you don't know what will happen. Who knows what will happen? I've just set the cat amongst the pigeons now, haven't I? It's Thursday. What am I supposed to know? I don't follow that shit. I mean, it's must-react content to me, isn't it? Are you a character in the Nicola Bulley story? Have you made yourself a character in the Nicola Bulley story? Are you making media on the internet? Does Super Chuffer watch those and react to them? Yeah, so I'd gonna have to have a look at that, aren't I? But all in due time. What's wrong with people? You've all been saying it in chat. Yeah, I don't... Unless you super chat me, I can't read it. It goes past too fast. It's been fun, hasn't it? Thank you, blank faces. Well, I think as well, some people are going to get well eggy, but if you don't agree, you don't agree. It's fine. I don't care. I can still buy you a drink in the pub. We can still have a laugh. It's just like you don't agree on this. Like if you're Peter Faulding, obviously you're going to get well eggy. If you're Luke, you're probably going to get well eggy. But other than that, everyone else can just doesn't matter if you don't like it, if you don't agree. Oh no. Well, there's lots of things we don't agree on, and there's lots of things we do agree on. And welcome to being human. So cope with it. And a lot of us here agree on lots of things. So yeah, it sounds like Twitch is calling me. Go and relax and play a game. Sounds right, Vicky. Sounds right. Although I really would rather go to bed. But if I go to bed now, I'll be up at 3 in the morning again. I've got on this fucking weird routine. Don't tell me this is right. I think I preferred it when I was up all night and sleeping in the day. You're not getting blocked. Don't bring up Brexit, new hobby. But a bit like that, yeah. I think we need to move on from things sometimes. So after all this Nicola Bulley foray I'm going to be having said what I said, whatever. I'm just going to be moving on from it at some point. Yeah. Exactly, Bridget. If you don't have other people's ideas and you don't see different opinions, you won't be able to expand your mind. True. And I've definitely heard what Peter Faulding thinks a lot over the last few weeks. I've heard that an awful lot. And then all of a sudden he changed his mind right at the end. So now we have to talk about it a lot more again. But it was nearly over there for a minute. And I also, I don't think, I say nearly over there for a minute. I don't think we're going to, it's like Madeleine McCann, right? I personally do not think that we have a great chance of finding out the exact truth of what happened to Nicola Bulley. I just don't think we do. So we'll have lots of ideas and thoughts, and eventually at some point you can either say, this is as much as I can do on this, having reviewed all the media, looked into all the reports and stuff, having talked to all the people. That's about as much as I can do about that now. And I think it's time to move on and talk about something else for a bit. Maybe review it in a few years. Maybe if the Netflix do a special, talk about it again, but not be some strange obsessive who makes a video about this subject every single day and can't stop. It's not good for your mental health, and it's certainly not good for the family. We've talked about that briefly. I'm ripping the piss a bit sometimes, but in all honesty, the people who should care about the most are the children in this situation, and my heart goes out to them every time. So the worst thing for them would be because they will grow up and life will move on, and they don't have to go back and look at it all and revisit it all if they don't want to. But if people are still banging it and won't let it go, then either they can find out the truth for the justice for Nicola, great, but if you haven't got anything new to say, then maybe it's best time to just let things move on in a way, because they still have to live in this world and they still have to just accept and move forward in some way, don't they? Like everyone has to in these tragedies. So, did I mean to say Madeleine? Madeleine. Look, spell it out. Look, Madeleine. Come on. Thanks, Big Chris. It has been a stressful one. Thanks for the £2 super chat. I've been offline feeling it a bit. I've been looking into this a lot, and I've been finding it a bit stressful. So that's true that. And yeah, none of us should get too frazzled with it. I think I'm reminding all you chuffers as well. That's why I don't want to be a true crime YouTuber. I don't want to be a true crimer every day of the week, because I couldn't live like that and face that every day. And I've got a lot of respect for the police people who do. And I know the Lancashire police are being accused of being corrupt, right? And I know that they're Lancashire police, they didn't do this, they did that. They did an awful fucking lot. They did do an awful lot, right? And they're not funded very well. They don't have as many people to work all the jobs as they should have in all different ways. Like, they're not supported very well by the government. So that's been going on for 10 years. So I do feel for them in some ways, because it's like saying to somebody, like, I'm going to kick you really hard in the knee and then complain that you're not running properly. Like, well, you just kick them really hard in the knee. Like, the police have been taking a battering for the last 10 years in terms of cuts, pay cuts, money, not pay cuts, but you know what I mean? Like money cuts, budget cuts. And then at the end of 10 years, you're going to go, right, well, the police are shit. Throw them under the bus. Let's do a report on how shit the police are. Now, you should feel shit yourselves that for 10 years we watched it happen. Like, it needs to change. But, yeah, political bun fight or not, like, I'm not going to get that political with it. Well, fair. I'll tell you what I worry about a little bit, though, before I finish, is that these chuffers might want to come for the super chuffer. There's already been a little murmur of that, let's be fair. There's been a little murmur of that, calling somebody's name out in your video, saying a few cheeky things on your little posts. There's been a murmur of that, so watch this space, if these chuffers think they want to have a pop at the super chuffer. Because I'm not going to be flavour of the month in their fucking camp, am I? But yeah. Have I got anything nice and chill to show you before the end that's like nice that we can chill this on? Finish a chillis. I might have something nice to... I have got something nice for this. I've got a video that I made called Photography to Soothe... This is an hour of relaxing woodland photography to calm the angry photographer. Look, I put a thing on it. There you go. Big ups, Cherish. I don't know what your opposite of what you're referring to, really, but like, I've seen at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you straight up and out before we finish. If you want, I do not agree with the politics of Andrew Tate. I think he's a misogynist and a wanker. I don't think he's a good role model. I don't agree with the politics of Sam Smith is gaying up the kids, or transgenderism is causing children to be confused about. I'm not into that. I think that is a evangelical right-wing American filtering in of a very bad homophobia, which basically alludes to the idea that gays are pedophiles and that they're on for the kids. So I really don't like that. Those things alone have made me very understanding of who Luke is and how I feel about him. So I'm happy with my feelings. You can be happy with yours. So did they mention me by name? We've got that there's a community post on Battery Exhausted where there's a little, again, I'm not going to talk this bollocky political YouTube politics game crap here, but it's going on, and I'm above it. But yeah, I'm not going to, I'm not going to get drawn into it too much, but like I said, big ups, Chris. As a gay loser, I appreciate you speaking out. Thanks. Sam Smith, there's nothing wrong with Sam Smith. If you think there's something wrong with Sam Smith, then you want to go and get your fucking Madonna's pointy nipples checked. Come on. Wake up. Pop music. Being gay, it's fine. Grow up, everyone. So yeah, I'm not having this bollocks. So whilst I'm not going to get drawn into the YouTube politics, I'll make my stand very clear. And I think that, like I said, watch out. I know to watch out. There's some there's some venomous, poisoned people out there. And you might think Luke's brilliant, but you see, you've no idea about that. You just follow the Nicola Buddy case. Fair enough. But before I think that someone's good, I'm going to just check out their content and see what they're like. And if they turn out to be fucking not somebody I would sit next to in the pub, then that clouds my perception of them, and their judgment. Like, I mean, in the video where Luke is talking about Andrew, you should just go and watch it. Just go and watch the Andrew Tate video that he's got. Just go and make up your own mind about somebody who says those things. Like, fucking hell. Like, you should, shouldn't you? Because you're here saying things about him. So, big ups, new hobby. I think you're allowed to say anything on YouTube, to be honest. Like, sometimes it might demonetize your content, but if you're that desperate for the money, then you wouldn't say anything and you just say this and that. I think it's just a load of nonsense. I think YouTube just lets you say anything, as long as you're not actually crossing the line and being weird. Like, anyway, yeah, relaxing photography. It's about context. Let's relax with some relaxing photography. And I fucking... You get me on my egg again. Right at the end as well. Right at the end. I don't want to get dragged into it. They said my name first, you know, and they poked the bear. Welcome to Chuffer Town. This is actually what we call cuckoo spit. And this is, it's like I think it's an insect, lays like eggs like that. This is all taken with a little macro lens. It's only a £10 macro lens. You screw it on the front of the camera and it just does magnifying, like simple. So it's with a full frame, what do you call it? How come I don't know my lenses? Zoom and fixed aperture lens with a screwed on thing. Looks good, doesn't it? I remember going out and taking these photographs. It was a day out with my dog. It's quite nice, just because extra time out in the fields. Quite nice to be out in the fields, taking some extra time to look at the world a bit more deeply. And have him... like, these photographs, some of them have a bit of effect on them because the dog's pulling me while I'm taking them. It's healthy to vent. Yeah, I just, you know, since we're talking about it, since it's on the agenda and since people are saying about it in chat, I just quickly, like, you know, nail that one down. But I'm not going to go on and on about it. You know, may it all just stay in this episode here. And if it ends up becoming a thing, it can go on battery exhausted if it needs to. But this channel, Super Chuff, is not about YouTube politics and dramas. But they're being dragged in through this. Like, Peter Faulding has chosen to do what he's done on that channel. And that channel has chosen to do what they've done surrounding the content and their little comments and little pokes here and there. Like, so it is what it is, isn't it? It's part of the, it's now in a thread that's been like the jersey of the Nicola Bully content. I've been pulling on the thread and there's this fucking weird thing attached to it. So what? Is what it is. These pictures as well, right? These are on a Nikon 3100 or something, like my first DSLR. They're not especially well crisp. The lens isn't really expensive. You might say the wider ones like that, you know, you can see it more, but with these ones, with the macro attachment, it just looks good, doesn't it? Like, you haven't had to spend loads of money to achieve that. That's a feather. Contrasted textures. It's a poppis. Really beautiful colour deep in the poppy, isn't it? That just brought out with the colour contrast. I didn't fuck with these pictures very much. Like, they just look at how they look because the nature looks like that. Probably just put the saturation up a bit. That's that poppis. And it is again. I think when you pull back like that, it doesn't. The camera starts to show its limitations. But it's weird the way that when it's really close up like that, you just lose all that, and it just looks good. These are grains, like on a stalk, just in against the sunlight. But I don't know. They kind of work / don't work. Where's the music I'm listening to? That can go. It's yellow. Thanks, new hobby. Like, have camera shoot for photographs, I think. Have camera shoot for photographs. But like I say, it's nice when the weather's nice, and this was late. Like you can see by the budding in the flowers, can't you? It's like later spring, summer, maybe coming up towards autumn. I don't know, but I can't remember exactly when it was. But it's nice to be out in the nice weather, engaging with nature and just taking it in, isn't it? I pick them and I tickle the dog with them. I don't know if those seeds have come off that or have stuck to it, you know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if the seeds have come off that or stuck to it. It's good, isn't it? That one's got cuckoo spit in it as well. I don't think there's any particular, like, you know, best ones. They're just all like this, but I'll skip on to the one with the B. We'll finish with the one with the B. This is just to calm us down now. It's just to calm you down. That's all this is. It's just for calming, relaxing purposes. So I didn't drag you out into an argumentative, angry place and leave you there. So we can all just calm down. I know I said my bit. I know I got on my egg a little bit at the end, but come on. I'm a human being. People be saying my name on the old YouTube, and it ain't pretty. So I'm just going to draw the little line, so that's where the line is. And bear in mind, a lot of opinions voiced today were not my own, but were lots of other people on the internet, so I have to live with the reality of what lots of people on the internet are saying, I guess. Think about it. There's the bee, look. Having a good... being a bee. That's a real alive bee as well, so when you're taking photographs like this, you are risking it. I am risking basically risking my health to bring you these photographs of a bee, because it could turn around and get eggish and just sting me off. You never know. So these are like danger zone photographs, if anything. I mean, it's pretty because it's a bee and it's going in a flower, but it could sting you up. Zen Bumblebee, big ups. It's not easy as well to get the picture of the bee. Not the best one you ever want to get. You have to keep trying because it's moving around and doing its thing. You can't tell it to be still. It's going to do its thing, isn't it? I think some nature photographers just get bees and kill them and then pose them, but I'm not doing that. These photos are on battery exhausted if you ever want to watch them. If you ever feel like you need to calm down. It's called An Hour of Relaxing Woodland Photography to Calm the Angry Photographer. There's a YouTuber called The Angry Photographer who now talks a lot about weird, like, electromagnetic nonsense, but back then talked about photography, and they recommended this cheap lens macro trick, and so I followed their advice and it really worked. So some of them come out a bit of a mess, actually. That one's a bit messy, but some of them, if you can find one clear subject and you get a nice angle on it, you can really do some work on it, can't you? Just £10 it was, that little macro lens that you screw on the front of your thing. This Christmas we are doing a special yet, but I will only talk about it on the other channel, I'm afraid. Sorry. But we will be, yes. Big ups BCTV. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go on Amazon now and show you, but like, it's like, it looks just like a magnifying glass that you screw on the front of a lens. It's relatively quite cheap. Macro, I'll call it like a macro adapter or something, and they'll be like, oh, you poo-poo it because it's not a real macro lens, but it does this. So it's really good. And then if you've got whatever camera you've got, like, just makes it closer up, doesn't it? And when you're closer up, things all start looking magical. If you take time just to slow down and look at them, start seeing what's really going on in all the detail. And really, it's just like a dog walk, isn't it? But there's all this stuff there. Like when I was a kid, I always used to like playing in the dirt and looking at the little like wood lice going around and thinking of the world on their scale. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like, because that's like a expanse of flowers to the little bee, isn't it? Like that's like fucking loads of flowers. It's like it's landed on a like massive bed of flowers, and like to us they're just little flowers on the top of a little thing. Loads of them. Like the bee must be well happy with this. Like when all the flowers come out. Like imagine you're a bee and you mainly like flowers, and then the flowers are big, aren't they, compared to you because you're a bee, and there's fucking loads of them. That's a different kind of bee. That's a proper honeybee, that is. They've got hives up the road from where these photos are taken, so. One was the big bumblebee one was a solitary bee, and they live on their own. But this bee's from a hive with other bees making honeys. Apparently they do take naps in flowers then, bumblebee. I photographed a bee once that was apparently asleep, or it might have been dead. I don't know. I couldn't. You know, what am I going to do? Check its pulse? But if I find a bee in the house, I give it a little tiny bit of honeys. We have got honeys in the cupboard, even though I'm vegan, but it's not really for me. I don't eat spoonfuls of honeys, but that's a fly. Not really the people don't like the fly very much, but it's there anyway. So I took a photo of it. Got, ain't you? I mean, even that's kind of pretty in a way, in a sort of gruesome, hairish way, but. I'm still running, aren't I? Still excellent connection. Still excellent connection. A lot of you, I tell you what, a lot of you have stayed around for these relaxing photographs at the end. I'm surprised about this. Usually it would tail off if I did something like this, but quite a lot of you have stuck around for the relaxing photographs. I mean, this is an hour's worth of relaxing photographs, and we're not going to watch them all. But should you want to, they exist on Battery Exhausted, and it is the sort of thing that I do to relax us at the end of the stream. So we'll come back to these another time and watch more of them, I'm sure. So I won't completely blow my load, but there's one of the dog here that I like, so I'll get the one of the dog out, and then we'll finish on that, because bless him, he's not around anymore, and he was a very good boy. There he is. That's what it's like trying to take photographs when you've got a, you know, using your macro lens, and then the dog's like come over and he's like just stood over me. So I'm like, bang, got you cheeky boy. He was a very good boy. So remember, you be good. Everyone's got the obligation to be good. I'll be seeing you tomorrow, probably on Battery Exhausted. Might be playing Mafia, doing one of my streams, unless I get murdered in the meantime. You be good. Go and watch Slinky Socks. Go and watch Andy. Big up Snippies. He was a good boy, isn't he? I mean, he was sometimes naughtiest, but he didn't know. He's a good boy. You can tell he's having a good time in this picture as well. I don't know what he's got in his mouth. Maybe he's just open. Maybe his mouth is just open and he's panting, because it's all out of thing with the old lens, isn't it? But he is a good boy. You are good. Big ups. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for everyone that tippied. Thank you for everyone that gave me a super chat. The money is much, much appreciated, of course, coming up to Christmas. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you. I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, thanks, Unity Calling. Hopefully it's been entertaining. I mean, that's what we're here doing on YouTube, ultimately. It's all I ever claim to be, is just someone talking to you from my own home, having a bit of fun. So, you be good. Yeah, no paranoia. Everything's cool. It's all just fun on the interwebs. Be good. And if you can't be good, yeah, you know what I'm going to say? If you can't be good, you're naughty.